June 12th, 2017. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Selden.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Hickson.
Here.
Cuthbertson.
Here.
Jovanelli.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Ray.
Here.
Next, I'd like to invite the Boy Scout Troop 40 of St. Philip's Episcopal Church forward to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Please come forward, gentlemen. If you'd like, you can just all step in line in front. And you're the leader, so you can stand right there if you'd like.
Everyone can place their hands over their heart, and boys give the Scout salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Nice job, Ben.
And thank you for giving up your seats. That was very gentlemanlike.
And also, they get out of here quick.
I've already given dispensation. They may leave early.
Pack light, trouble light. That's it. Keyboard real quick.
Also, the broadcast is not live this evening. We've had some technical difficulties. It is being recorded. So if your phones are lighting up and asking why isn't the meeting starting on time, it is starting on time, and it just won't be live. Next, we will have public comment, scheduled items first. I'm going to, are we ready for the, okay, so first we will have the presentation from Oakland County Equalization. Please step forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those that don't know me, my name is Leanne Boucher. I am a certified master assessing officer for Oakland County, so I have my level 3. And I was actually the assessor in the city of Rochester for 2003, 4, and 5.
Can you speak in the microphone? Thank you.
So I was actually the previous assessor here, so we were requested by Mr. Wing to come back and give just a high-level overview of what we do in assessing. So for those that were here last year, my boss, Mr. Heber, came out and gave the presentation, so it's essentially the same presentation. So if you have any questions, we'll go over those at the end. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. This is an introduction, basically of what the Equalization Division does. We are a branch of property administration which determines assessed and taxable values for properties to generate tax revenue for each municipality in Oakland County. The county provides assessing services for 32 cities and townships in the county. Our mission as a division is as follows: to ensure the assessment uniformity among all classes. So we handle the industrial class, the commercial class, if there was any agricultural, the residential class. So, but Rochester's mainly made up of commercial, personal, and residential. So we cover all of those to make sure everything is equal. We process all the splits, and there are very few splits. There's not a lot of land left in the city of Rochester to be split, so a lot of it is combinations. But we handle all of that. The apportionment of local tax rates. Again, we contract the assessing for 32 communities for both real and the business personal property side of it. And our boss will tell you that our biggest push is customer service. So that's what we're trying to really strive for right now. This is a map of the county, an overview. The green, both the villages and the townships themselves are who we handle the assessing for. So if you see like Holly in the corner, it's the village of Holly and the township as well. So there are some villages that we do not handle, but there's an overview of just generally what we do. Our division is made up of 6 different departments. We have an equalization department, a land descriptions department, our real property assessing staff, our personal property assessing staff, property tax appeals, which are handled just by our appeals, which I'm sure you're familiar with that. And we have our clerical section, which handles all of our data entry. Most of our one-on-one with the taxpayer is handled through our clerical section. So I wanted to just go over real quick what each division does and then answer any questions at the end. But equalization handles the preparing of sales and a sample, so it gives us our base to move from one year to the next. So that comes from the equalization department. Our land descriptions, again, we maintain splits, combinations. We use the GIS for most of what we do. Goes to the real property section, which we maintain real property assessment records. We prepare the roll. And the most integral part of what we think we do is the one-on-one with the taxpayer. So we knock on the doors, we take new pictures, we talk to the homeowners. That's what we feel is the most important real property part of what we handle. And again, we interact with the city and village one-on-one that way. Business personal property maintains the personal property tax rolls. We do the same on-site reviews for commercial that we do, but the business personal property is handled a little bit differently. We audit and we canvass. So business personal property is what's inside the business, as the commercial is the building and the land itself. So that's the slight difference in there. And then we analyze and process the annual personal property returns that come, and I'll go over some numbers a little bit later in here as to how that breaks down. We do have their equalization, under the equalization umbrella is the property tax appeals. So we represent you or any of our contracted units with the Michigan Tax Tribunal in both the full and the small claims. And that's handled right there, mostly in Oakland County. And our clerical customer service is our primary business operation. Again, we answer taxpayer phone calls. They input all of our data entry, our principal residence exemptions, any forms along that. And then the special acts and our tax millages are handled under the clerical section too. So Mary Ritchie in our office handles all of the TIFs. If there was a brownfield, anything along those lines, that falls under the clerical umbrella. And it's slightly repetitive, but again, the annual assessment of real and personal property is required by law. So we follow the state calendar on all of our dates as to when we equalize and things along that lines. We appraise and process all real and personal property. We prepare the assessment roll. One thing we do is we attend the local board of review in the place. So there's always a representative from Oakland County, both March, July, and the December board of review. We consult and assist in the preparation of the tax tribunal. So if there is an appeal that comes for the city of Rochester, then I would be consulted, or someone on the staff would be consulted before we actually go to the hearing. If there's something I may know or something that Nick or Blaine may tell me, then that could become imperative. So we do assist in that as well. And we aid and assist municipalities, taxable value for budgeting purposes. We try to be on hand as much as we can to give you an overview as far out as we can. Obviously, the county budget's on 3 years, so we see lots of municipalities going forward with a larger outlook, so we try to be as prepared as possible with our projections for taxable value. Specific to Rochester alone, these are just the property counts. You see we have we had 4530 last year, so it looks like someone combined a parcel, so we have 4529 this year. 361 commercial properties, 52 industrial, and then we have 890 personal property businesses in the city according to our canvas in 2016. And I have some slides in the back that are a little hard to read, so I pulled out some information that was just relative to Rochester. The residential assessed values, between 16 and 17, the assessed went up 4.23%. Commercial runs a little bit of a lag behind, so when we saw the decrease between 8 and 9, we didn't see that in commercial or industrial. That came 10 to 11. So the increases are a little bit more substantial in the commercial and industrial just because it's trying to catch up. So there's the difference that it's almost double. Industrial, again, is the 8.58, and the real property tax values went up, the taxable value 4.11. So it's very close to what the assessed move. A lot of municipalities you'll see as you go further back in your handout may not have that rise in taxable value that's as close to the increase in the assessed. But in Rochester, because of the number of transfers, we're able to capture that percentage more. So that's why that number is the 4.11. Just a couple statistics that we find a lot of municipalities like to see. So we gave the 16 average sale price and assessed value, so you can see the increase in the market. So not only in the assessment, which you realize in the 4.23 that we went up, but the sale price actually follows along. So that's how we can kind of project going forward. So we see the rise We processed 115 building permits. Now, if you actually talk to your building department, your building permit number would be much higher. We don't necessarily knock on doors if you put in new windows, if you put on a new roof. That's normal maintenance. It's not accessible. So we actually go for, much more defined, and I can get into that if you'd like, but if you see building permit figures as to actually what's assessed and what we gather, I think you guys all know that sometimes we project we get a $6 million permit, but that may not actually come back to value for us. So that's why we try to keep it as close as we can. 291 transfers were processed. That means actual arm's length transactions, homeowners selling to another homeowner. There were 291. Of that, we reviewed 275. So we review every arm's length transaction that comes across our desk just to make sure that it is true to what it needs to be. We process 10 splits and combinations. As to the personal property, it gets a little tricky here, so we know that there are almost 900 businesses. 170 statements were processed, and 453 of the 5076, which is the small business exemption. So you can see the 453 and the 170 doesn't add up to the 890. So there are still businesses that don't file on a regular basis. So that's why you see the numbers less than how many businesses we actually have there. As to tribunals, we have still 16 that they haven't heard and 17 going forward. So we have 8 full and 1 small. We did settle 1 full tribunal, 3 smalls, none were dismissed, and actually 1 full and 2 small were withdrawn by the petitioner. And I'm sure all of these look very familiar to you. They're the top 10 taxpayers. We listed in taxable value because obviously we do not collect the taxes, so the numbers can vary. So we usually just deal in the taxable value. So those are the top 10 taxpayers and their taxable value currently going into 17.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you very much. A couple of things. I too, you touched on one of my points of interest, which
Sure.
was the distinction between building permits.
Correct.
And what was landed in the this year's forecast seemed to
Sure.
be. It seems like an awful lot of windows were installed as compared to
Well, let's
new builds,
I think-
substantial additions, and so I'm interested in walking through that process a little more.
well, we can go big or we can go small. So I think the best case scenario that I can probably give you that most people understand is if a large company is going to build an office building downtown, they are going to put in their permit costs, the cost to remediate, the cost to clean up, their cost to demo. All of those things are not attributable to what we can put back on the assessment. We can only go from the ground up. So a lot of their permit cost comes into their labor cost. Again, we try to pick that up with the county multiplier, but it's not always something we're able to do. And I think at the end of the day, probably the best thing, or well, probably what Blaine and Nick hear most, is can we defend it? So essentially, this is how we end up with tribunals, is we place a replacement cost the best we think we have on the property. And if they have the money or the means or even the idea that we're over assessing them, they then take us to the tribunal. We have to be able to defend the price per square foot.
Well, sure, and I think removing any remediation costs versus the physical improvements, I get that, but primarily what we saw, if I recall our numbers correctly, and I don't have them in front of me this evening, was that the vast majority of the building permit net new valuation was coming from residential. My guess is in that circumstance, there's not a lot of environmental remediation going on,
No,
but
sure.
rather substantial new homes or substantial additions being built. And so I guess I'm interested in understanding, probably not going to get the answer tonight, but at a more granular level, what's the difference, right?
We can go granular, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to go back and come up with a presentation again, or to have my boss come in and explain a little bit more.
A memo would be fine.
Okay, well, a lot of
me.
what we do is normal maintenance, normal maintenance is not assessable. So everyone that pulls a permit for a roof and things like that, so those do add up. So I mean, I don't want you to think that we're not going out to knock on the doors or pick up a new house or a substantial addition. If a permit is pulled, we will be out there.
Okay. The second question is, our number one taxpayer on that list has filed a tribunal
Correct.
manner in which they've asserted, if I recall correctly, something like 50% of that
Their
taxable
contention of
value.
value is 9 million. Correct.
Okay, so about 40 some odd percent is their contention of value. So that is a significant risk to the general fund budget when considering it in the broader context. Where is that in the process? Just as
That had just started in the process. So we have, I believe, have reached out to JHP Pharmaceuticals
they filed
last
a year
week.
ago, right?
Correct.
Yes, it started, it's a 2016, just added 2017. I can say this is about the time where discussions start firing up when the second year, unfortunately, is added for a lot of these. I can tell you without going into detail because it's in settlement discussions, but there's been an exchange of information just recently, like yesterday-ish. That I forwarded on to the county, and we're going to take a look at what they presented. I think that the number that has been presented is not one that they are married to, and that so we're going to see about if there's a way to resolve that case.
Thank you.
And the deadline for a commercial is May 31st, so that's usually why we hear things right around now, whereas residential is July 31st, so.
Can you talk a little bit about forecasting for the next 2 or 3 years? Values, generally speaking, county, and then in Rochester. We want to move to multi-year budgets, and being able to understand the decisions that are made today as it relates to future revenue. And I know there's a huge number of circumstances and factors that affect that, but I know the county has a multi-year budget, and that's got to be based on something.
Correct. The county's is based on something, and we forecast, and I believe we started forecasting in 2001 to get to that multi-year. So we just follow trends along that lines. But I would say that it's hard to pinpoint an actual number if you want one. But I do know that the ability is there. So if it would be something that Rochester would like to go into a multi-year, we usually try to get away from that. I'll be honest, I think we only do 1 year at a time. But I think if the city wanted us to try to forecast 3 years out, with the caveat that it's obviously not written in stone, I don't see that would be an issue.
We've even seen where we'll get our budget packet in December or January with one number in it to see it change in March and April. We understand that there's flux in the finalization of those numbers, but I think some general sense, I don't know if it's 3 years, but certainly next year, here's what we think on balance is going to happen. And
We're
we
still
plug that into,
Sure.
our next year's expenses and understand what that means for the budget.
Sure, and I think we will probably even admit to you that we're still up in the air. I don't know how much you know, but the state changed the sales study parameter. So we are losing 6 months of the sales study this year. So this year, we'll see how close we are and what we projected 2 years ago to what actually comes about, not having known that they were going to literally take 6 months of sales away from us. So I don't think I feel comfortable today trying to go out into 2 years, but I would tend to think that we would probably stay in the 4 to 5 range probably for the next 2 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? Anything else from you?
No, the rest of it is in the packet. There is one other slide that I wanted to show. This is just where I had pulled out the information specific to Rochester, but you'll see in there where you fall with the other communities. And we have put this in. This is one of our new actual slides that we are starting to present, and it goes from 2007 to 2017, so it gives the 10-year and what we've lost and assessed and taxable and where we've gained. So we have 4.82 left to actually get to where we were in 2007.
Great. Thank you so much. Great
You're welcome.
presentation. Yes. Thank you.
It would have been nice to buy the lot.
That's a great presentation.
My problem is I bought it.
Next, we will have a presentation from Sue Keels regarding the Travel Like a Local program.
Not loco.
Well, hello everyone.
Welcome.
Happy to be here. My name is Sue Keels. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Royal Park Hotel. And this is Ann Kupke. She handles social media and marketing. We're really excited about this program. And this is our third presentation. And each time we do the presentation, it just continues to grow and grow. So before we get into the presentation, we thought we'd just share a little inspiration with you. So for us, it's not about the free Wi-Fi,
Right.
right? It's all about downtown Rochester. It's all about what we sell. It's all about the Royal Park Hotel. Yes, we have beds. We have, a beautiful hotel. But it really is all about sharing stories. So I'm going to hit the next slide here. And that's where we thought about Travel Like a Local. We wanted to come up with a program that we can introduce to our guests who are looking for an authentic local experience. Most of our guests are not looking for a big box hotel. They want an authentic experience. They want to be able to shop downtown and learn more about all of the stories. Sorry about that. Uh-oh, let's see next. Sorry about this technology, right? Get to the next slide. Okay, good. Okay, perfect, good. So we adopted a philosophy. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Simon Sinek, Start with the Why. We adopted this philosophy a few years ago at the hotel, and it really is all about telling stories and sharing the stories, not only with our guests, but with everyone, and sharing downtown Rochester. So we love to shout out our why. Our why is everyday luxury. But what we found is that talking to all the downtown businesses, they all have a why. And all of our guests want to know what that why is. So we thought, why not promote hip and historical downtown Rochester and learn a little bit more about everyone, promoting buying local, travel like a local, and of course, dining local. So we had a meeting, a merchant meeting, partnered with the DDA probably about 4 months ago, and invited merchants to come and talk about this program. And our idea was to offer some type of added value, a discount, and experience, and offer this to the merchants to take advantage of. And in turn, any guest that shows their room key at the Royal Park Hotel would take advantage of this experience. So we ended up getting probably about 20 or 25 merchants to check the yes box. Now, fast forward, it's almost 50, which it's just been fantastic. The momentum is building, and everybody, shared a story. They shared their story, their why, their purpose, but also an experience. And in turn, we marketed the heck out of it. So from a pre-stay digital experience, we have a platform called Digital Alchemy. So when a guest checks in, before they even arrive, they get to experience the Travel Like a Local program. We talk about it, we promote downtown Rochester. We're working on press releases. We have information at our concierge desk, all kinds of information. I'm gonna share some of it with you. But this was the actual form that we asked all of our merchants to sign, checking literally the yes box, promoting their business, what they have to offer. And more importantly, it's not just all about signing up. We actually walked into each of the stores, the services, and talked to them. We sat down, we broke bread with them, we brought them cookies, I have some here for you, and we listened. And we wanted to learn because we wanted to share that story with our guests. I mean, we compete with Airbnb now. People are looking for this authentic local experience, and we wanted to share that. So from a marketing perspective, we created our own designated web page, a Travel Like a Local page that lists all of the different merchants and what they are providing, 15% off, 20% off, a free cup of coffee. We also were really excited about our room key. So what started off as this, now, and actually it looked like this, not that fun, not that great.
Pretty boring.
Right, exactly. We have a beautiful room key. It should be launched in about 2 or 3 weeks, and we're promoting the Travel Like a Local branding on the back of our room key. So when guests arrive in downtown Rochester, all they have to do is show their room key, and we've asked all of the merchants to put this little decal up. So you'll see these decals. They're all downtown. We have almost 40 or 50 people who are putting these decals on their storefronts. So it shows, it gives the guests an opportunity to say, oh, I can use my room key here. What can I experience? We also have some information on the bottom there on all of our signatures for email. You just click it to get details. It brings us right back to the website. So there's a lot of different platforms that we are using. Some of the marketing pieces is this beautiful piece, and you have some information right here. All kinds of wonderful information. We have maps also right here. And it lists all of the different merchants who are involved. And then this is the list, actually, I provided each and every one of you of everyone who has signed up. And as you can see, it's a really great variety of shopping, dining, different services. It's just a fantastic opportunity for our guests to travel like a local and really get the flavor for downtown Rochester. Because again, it's not all about the Wi-Fi. It's all about selling downtown Rochester and our stories and the personalities of each individual merchant. So Anne, who handles our social media, she's going to talk a little bit about our reach and some of the social media details and all of that.
Yes, so we have this little slide up here that talks about what our hotel has contributed in 2016. I forgot we had that on there. So $250,000 is what we have contributed with reaching out to our salon services, our flowers, our own vendors, dining reservations. So I mean, it's just a little piece of the pie, but it's pretty significant, I think, when you think about it. And then this is just an at your service kind of slide. These are some of the people that have stayed with us. So Aerosmith there on the left asked for a cake to be made for one of their guys' birthdays, and Home Bakery took care of that for us. They brought it out on stage. It was a huge ordeal. It was all over Facebook, and I think the Palace even has it on, or had it on their website. And then Cruz and Muir took care of Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton. They offered a private dining space for them on the fly, like last minute. We actually didn't even know that Blake was coming. He was like a last minute add-on. And then My Salon took care of Laura Haddock, who is in the Transformer movie. She came in on a really late flight and wanted a massage, and they were there. They took care of it, so that was really cool.
And it's really all about the partnership, and that extended partnership to provide the best experience for any type of guest. We have guests traveling from all over the world. internationally and locally as well.
And this is just some, stats on our Facebook, because everybody loves stats. So, and this probably has fluctuated a little bit. This is from our original PowerPoint, but 6,000 visitors per week on average, and just about that same amount that engage with our posts with liking, commenting, sharing what we put out there. Our fan breakdown from Rochester, we have 2,000, and the surrounding cities, a little over 4,000. Our fan ranking comparison is what our fans are compared to that Virgin Hotel in New York. We have more of that, or just about around what that hotel has. And we have actually more combined than Townsend and Inn at St. John's. And since we've actually launched our Travel Like a Local Tuesday, so every Tuesday we promote one of our merchants. And it's either a video or it's a link to our website, or
So the
could be
fun thing
anything.
about the video is when we first reached out and talked to the merchants, nobody wanted to do the video. And then all we needed was one, and it was at home.
Yep.
And since that, we've had probably now 15, 20 calls. Everybody wants to do a video, sharing their why, sharing their story. And I said, they see a value in it, and they share it. We have a YouTube channel now that has been very successful. So it's really fun to see this Travel Like a Local continue to just go viral.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I've seen a huge difference on our social media. We had Bob Lytle posted on there on one of our Travel Like a Local Tuesdays, and 12,000 people saw that page and interacted with that page, either sharing or liking or commenting. It was incredible. I was really impressed by that. And same with Renee from Funky Frog.
Yes, right.
Hers was huge too. I mean, she had 7,000 people who checked out our page, and then others that commented and shared, and I think she liked every single one and thanked everybody for commenting. So that was really cool.
And I think too, for us, merchants always ask, how can we get involved? How can we tap into your clientele? This was the perfect way to tie the bow. It was the perfect way to,
you're talking to the
it's
mic,
a win-win.
Sylvia,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you.
It's
Sorry.
okay. It was a win-win for all of us. I mean, from it brings cash registers. It gives our guests this local, authentic experience, and we have a lot of regulars that come back. So when they see the room key, merchants hopefully remember their name and give them that extra little special feeling and treatment, which is important. So it's been a successful program. We're excited to continue
Very
it as
excited.
well.
Yep.
So does anybody have any questions at all, or
Any questions? Mayor Pro Tem.
Did you trademark this?
not yet? No.
It is
no, maybe
brilliant.
To be determined.
It is
yes.
brilliant. So thank you for the partnership. This is the kind of partnership that makes Rochester special. And that your excitement has just got us all excited. And I'm sure it will continue to grow. So thank you so much for your inspiration and being part of our why. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
thank
trademark
you.
it.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yeah, I really just wanted to thank you again for bringing this forth. I saw this at the DDA meeting, and I think the whole community really needed to see it. So thank you. It's a great job.
Thank
great
you.
job.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The videos have been so fun.
Yes,
they
this
have
has
been
been fun.
It just really shows
Check
each
out the YouTube
personality.
channel. Yeah, they are. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different why, so it's pretty fun to see them.
And it's contagious. Everybody now wants to share it. I mean, the phone calls keep on coming
They
in,
do.
and
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Great job.
Thank you.
so much. Thank you.
Next, we will have an update from the DDA Director, Christy Tavarro, regarding the Bicentennial Barn Dance.
So thanks for letting me follow Sue Keels. Appreciate that this evening. Good evening, Council. The mayor had invited me to give a brief update on our Bicentennial Barn Dance. For anyone who is not aware of it, it is coming up on Friday, June 23rd from 7 to 10 at the Rochester Hills Museum at Van Hoosen Farm. It's a unique event for us in that we're actually partnering with the City of Rochester Hills, so it's a joint fundraiser. The funds raised will be split evenly between the Rochester Bicentennial Monument, which is being constructed right now, and the new equipment barn that they're building out at Rochester Hills Museum at Van Hoosen Farm. We tried to give them to give us a fancier name, but that's all I've got so far, so equipment barn. There it is. So it is June 23rd from 7 to 10. We'll have a strolling dinner. It's being donated by Rochester and Rochester Hills area restaurants. We're also going to have square dancing and a square dance caller by the name of Glenn Morningstar. How can you not be an amazing square dance caller if your name was Glenn Morningstar? So we're super excited about him, and his regular dancing as well. Then for dessert, we can't just have regular dessert. No, we're having a pie stand for anyone who happened to pick up the latest issue of the In Town magazine, where Sue Keels actually featured doing a whole piescape. That is actually what we're going to be having there. Those pies will be donated by the Royal Park Hotel and the Grand Traverse Pie Company. And so we will have not only slices of pie, but we also have mini pies and pie pops, which I had to sample just to make sure they were okay for everybody. I think we'll be all right. So in addition to that, we also have our silent auction that evening that has items that have been donated to the City Beautiful Commission that we'll be auctioning off, as well as some lifestyle packages that many different businesses in the Rochester area have donated to us. And then, of course, the Rochester Bicentennial exhibit that opened on Founders Day back in March. The museum will be open that night as well for anyone who comes to the event, that they can actually enjoy that as well. So tickets are on sale now. You can get them at the DDA office. You can also get them online at our website, which is downtownrochestermi.com, and just click store at the top, and you can get tickets for individual or couple.
Great. Any questions for Christy?
Oh, and before I forget,
Yes.
jeans are preferred, boots are optional.
That's right.
I picked up
Right
my
there.
tickets today.
Yes, you did. So,
All right.
Thank
you
you.
so much. Next, we will move on to the resolution for employee appreciation. Quick behind the scenes, the plaques were given out today. There was an employee recognition luncheon that was from 11 to 2, and the employees opted to pick up their plaques at that, but we wanted to formally recognize them at the city council meeting, so I'd like to read this evening. Whereas the City of Rochester recognizes the following individuals for their years of service. 5 years is Megan Frazzo, Officer Keith Hermans, Officer Michael Knight, Officer Warren Rains, Carrie Martin, and Mark Guerrera. 10 years, Officer Frank Moon and Dispatcher Aaron Schultz. 15 years, Douglas Bills. 20 years, Sergeant Michael Mancini, Jason Dickinson, and Jimmy Williams. 25 years, Lieutenant Paul Matanka. 30 years, Derek Fuller and Johnny Fuller. I think they're brothers. 35 years, Bob Robinson. 40 years, Chief John Cieslik. And 55 years, Bob Terrell. Yeah. Now therefore be it resolved that the Rochester City Council, on behalf of its residents, does hereby congratulate these employees for their many years of service to the community. It is further resolved that the Rochester City Council, on behalf of its residents, does hereby honor these employees for their dedication to the community presented this 12th day of June 2017. And like I said at the State of the City address, we have the best employees, bar none, and I know I speak for all of council to say how proud we are. And if you can tell by how many years that people have worked for us, and I don't say they're part of our family, they don't just work for us, but they are really truly part of our family, I want to thank them personally again, so thank you. Next, I will go to miscellaneous public comment. If you'd like to come forward and be recognized this evening, please come forward. I was going to say we can't have nobody this evening.
Steve Oak, 1639 Stony Creek Drive. I'd like a little bit of information from the council because my numbers aren't matching what's going on in my head. We have our infrastructure, which I'm all for. I think it's a good program. But what I'm trying to figure out is I keep reading about Fraser's sinkhole. And Fraser's sinkhole right now is at $78 million. The state, the county, everybody's involved in getting this thing paid for. We've got 300,000 residents and hundreds of thousands of homes involved in it. And they're trying to figure out how to pay for this. And I'm wondering how a city with 2.1% of the total number of the people that are involved in the sinkhole are going to be able to come up with the 100 million. I'm just wondering what the figuring is, because my numbers show that we have a at $100 million that if we borrow it for 2.34%, by the time it's all paid off, it's 177 million and change, which comes to about, let's see, this would be about $13,605 per person. And the numbers they're talking about charging the residents to pay for the sinkhole is $10. How are we doing this? I would just like to be educated on it. Am I my figures
Mr.
wrong?
City
or-
Manager, can you answer or get back to?
Yeah, I can get back. So it's not the city of Rochester doing that. This is the first thing that I want to note. This is with the Great Lakes Water Authority and Macomb County and
Right.
several of the other entities.
And I'm just using the numbers.
Sure.
The same. We're talking 72 million versus 100 million. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people versus 13,019 people. That's the figure that's worrying me. If hundreds of thousands of people in the large community are having trouble paying for 72 million, how is 13,000 going to pay for 177 million? That's the question that I'm asking. You guys must know something that I don't.
Councilmember Cuthbertson, and
I'll-
I'll go back to this, Mr. City Manager.
I'll take a stab at it. When the $100 million number was presented to City Council, I don't know, about 17 months ago now, so January of 16, might have been February. That was an estimate based on what the engineers thought would be required over a 20-year life cycle to reestablish city's infrastructure, water, sewer, roads, sidewalk, lights, and to a certain extent street trees, at a certain assumed level of quality.
Right.
And so that's about $5 million a year, very round numbers in today's dollars. And through the course of the work that the Infrastructure Committee did, we basically, and with council, we changed the quality assumption,
Okay.
which will not, both the cost as well as the amount of work that would be required to implement the $100 million plan, that is with $15 million in the first 3 years to try to bend a certain quality of road curve, wasn't financially or physically possible for the community to endure. And so at this point we have an approximate, it's $2+ million on the road side, and then the initial water projects are actually going to be based off for the first, I believe, 3 to 5 years off of the projects which are approved by the Drinking Water Revolving Fund and the Sewer Revolving Fund, those loans being paid back in essence through the infrastructure and ready to serve fixed fees, as well as the small variable portion that is on the water and sewer bill. So I don't think that we're going to get to the $100 million number over 20 years in today's dollars. That I think you're quoting to. I think that number will end up being significantly less than that, but it will be evaluated on a programmatic basis. So there never was a, hey, let's spend $100 million and figure out a way to do that. What we try to do is get to a livable, passable, acceptable quality standard on roads while maintaining a slightly higher standard of required safety on water and sewer, that we can fit into the budget with the increases on the water and sewer side and the modest 0.75 mil tax increase. So the numbers we've worked through for the last 10 or 11 months trying to deliver that, I believe in pro forma, at the very highest level at a pro forma basis, are correct. And it is an alchemy.
What would it be, what are we looking at for the first 3 years per resident?
Oh, those numbers were included in the presentations. For an average home, as well as for the water and sewer rates, and we'll get the specific
We can
correct
send that
number. I
out
don't want
to
to
you.
misquote it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as I recall, it was somewhere around $300.
As I said, I'm in support of the infrastructure program. And the one thing that I keep thinking about is it's not going to get any cheaper. Everything is going up.
Yeah.
So by jumping on it now, you're doing everyone a favor by doing that.
And if you want, we can send you that sheet again, because what we did is we took a variety of homes
Yeah.
around the city and then gave a complete breakdown of what that looks like.
I'll take and run the numbers on that.
Okay.
I'll be able to find that. And another thing, we have our sundial going up in the park. I don't know who planned this, but there's no handicap access from the parking lot out here anymore. They've taken all the handicap parking spots and fenced everything off. So if you're handicapped, you have a heck of a time getting into the park.
I'll have the city
Yeah,
manager.
actually, so the parking goes all the way around. There are parking spots on the other side. You might be just talking about
Right.
the west side versus the east side of the horseshoe component.
Right.
So there are parking spots.
But
And
in the
for
back half of the park off of Ludlow, the ramps and everything to get up from the parking lot are pretty steep.
Okay, I'll have an
And it's
inspector.
something
yeah,
that's,
We can have it looked into.
sure.
yes. And one more thing on Cedar Brook. The new exterior of the building looks beautiful.
Thank you.
The carports, I think you should all look at them again. Flat roofs with one post holding up or two posts look like a canopy over a gas station. Don't think that fits, but there's one good point about that. If that ever goes out of business, it would make a very good automotive repair facility where we could put gas pumps.
Thank you,
so
Mr.
much. Have a
Zook.
wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could comment real
Absolutely.
quickly. Talking about the water and sewer, we have 2 remaining open houses. So there's one coming up on June 15th at 7 p.m. at the OPC, and then there's going to be another one on June 26th at 6 p.m. here. But Mr. Zokes, I'm definitely going to send you the PowerPoint slide that actually breaks out. We have a sample of, I think, 12 different residents kind of sampled across the city, as well as several businesses. So you can see what's the road component, what's the water component, what's the sewer component, so that you can actually see that breakdown. And then I'll follow up with you to make sure that the numbers are jiving. But again, for the rest of the public, June 15th at 7 p.m. at the OPC, we spend about an hour. Staff, I have somebody from finance, our water foreman, our public works, an engineer, and myself actually going through to make sure that everybody's clear on what we're actually doing.
Okay. Any other miscellaneous public comment? Mr. Marzak?
Paul Marzak, 1058 Bloomview Circle. We just finished a course that was put on by the Rochester Police Department. And I personally want to thank, I was part of that course. It was an 8-week course. And it was a wonderful course, and it gave the citizens of Rochester and Rochester Hills the ability to learn how our police department works in the city of Rochester, get to meet the police officers from the city of Rochester. There were 2 officers, the chief, of course, and Sergeant Lyon, who did an exceptional job putting it all together, and they were at each session, both of them. They did a terrific job. All the other officers who participated, and there were several officers who participated, did a wonderful job, and I just want to thank them very much publicly and congratulate them and recommend to the citizens of Rochester that the next time there is such a session that they should participate. There were several residents from this Rochester Hills there. I'd like to see the class filled with Rochester citizens. It was a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marzak. I'm going to talk about that during miscellaneous at the end. Any other public comment this evening?
Sue Douglas, 1228 North Main Street. Yes, I'd just like to do a thank you to Mr. Nick Banda for quickly giving me a tree permit to remove some rotten old pine trees in my yard that were a danger both to my property and my neighbors.
Those are landmark
Got
trees.
that done in the same day, and Wendell removed it about a week and a half later, and the deer came through the first night and was like, they went all over my backyard, even looking to see if we moved them out there. They're a little confused, but that's okay. Hopefully they'll go somewhere else.
Thank you, Ms. Douglas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other miscellaneous public comment? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. Next is item 4, approval of the minutes. Consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 22nd, 2017.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Peterson. Do I have support?
Support.
Support by Councilmember Giovanelli. Any corrections or adjustments to the minutes? Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, we have approval of the consent agenda. We have 9 items this evening. Acceptance of a right-of-way quitclaim deeds adjacent to 260 and 306 Castile. Consideration of a special event application from the Paint Creek Center for the Arts to hold Arts and Apples on September 8th through the 10th, 2017 in the Rochester Municipal Park. Consideration of a special event application from Faith Church of Rochester Hills to hold a concert in the Municipal Park on August 3rd from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Consideration of a special event application from the Rochester DDA to hold a bicentennial barn dance at the Rochester Hills Museum at Van Hoosen Farms on June 23rd from 7 to 9 p.m. Consideration of a special event application from St. Andrew's Men's Group to hold Christ in the Streets Eucharistic Procession from St. Andrew's Church through downtown Rochester on July 22nd, 2017 at 10 a.m. Consideration of a special event application from Mothers Against Drunk Driving to hold Walk Like Mad on August 26th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Municipal Park. Consideration of a special event application from Woodside Bible Church to hold a church service in the Municipal Park on June 25th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Consideration of a request from the Fire Department for a vehicle lease. And last but not least, consideration of a request to purchase a trailer-mounted valve turner. Councilmember Ray.
Madam Mayor, if I could ask to pull item E.
E. Any other items pulled? That's Ray.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Can we pull A and H?
A and H for Peters. Any other items? Do I have a motion to approve B, C, D, F, G, and I?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Peterson to approve those. Do I have support?
Support.
Support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion on those? Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
I will go in alphabetical order. Item A, which is acceptance of the right-of-way quitclaim deeds adjacent to 260 and 306 Castile. Councilmember Peterson.
Reading through these, the only thing I would have liked to have seen is like a location of where they were, so the public would know what we were referring to.
So like a map.
A map would have been nice, yes.
Is that the only request?
Yes, ma'am.
So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Peterson. Do I have support? Support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Item E, consideration of a special event application from St. Andrew's Men's Group. Councilmember Ray.
Thank you. I had a question either for the applicant, if they're here, or specifically for the chief. The two items that stood out to me was that there were an expectation of 500 to 1,000 people or marchers, and the use of cordless speakers along the procession line. I'm just trying to get a feeling for how long a procession of 500 or 1,000 people is, if they're using the sidewalk, if that's going to present any issue with the flow downtown, and how loud the portable speakers would be, and if it's going to be music that's played, or what else? I suspect that.
Okay, so just a second, Tom. You're the applicant.
Yes.
Name and address, please.
Tom Malis, 1793 Charm Court.
Thank you.
So as far as the questions that you had there, we did this event last year in Royal Oak, and as far as the speakers, for example, those are not really to create a lot of noise, more to keep the men in sync with the singing and saying of the rosary and prayers of that nature, so that everybody's on the same page.
So
it's
they're
not like a concert or anything like that.
Or bullhorns.
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And 500 to 1,000 people, is that, I'm trying to think how long that line would be. Would that cover like 2 blocks? Are you going to march like single file, double, or 3 wide? Will people still be able to?
Sure, that's a great question. So last year we did this event in Royal Oak, and it was we had approximately 700 men last year. Very similar situation as far as their downtown area, and it went about 2 miles, I believe. We were on the sidewalk, and we were basically 2 or 3, abreast, so to speak. Our route, which I can give you a copy of if you'd like, but we start off at St. Andrews.
Yeah, we got a copy
You
of
have
the
a
record.
copy, okay. And then basically we're just going to process down Main Street and then come back up again and then end at St. Andrews. So it takes about a couple hours. It's about 2.5 hours like we did last year.
Okay. I would just ask, I mean, not that anyone really needs to make it a point, but just if there's people walking on the sidewalk that that it doesn't block traffic, people with dogs on leashes and 6-foot leashes, that sort of thing.
It went very well last year. We didn't have any incident.
I wouldn't expect that there is. I was just trying to picture this in my mind, that's all. Thank you.
Did you want the chief to address any of your questions? Or are you comfortable?
Only
with
if he
this?
feels necessary.
Chief, do you feel like everything's buttoned down nicely, so to speak? A lot of people.
Yes.
Wonderful.
The group seems very organized. We've had
Yes.
some conversations over the phone and by email, and I'm sure we'll continue that dialogue to make sure that it's a safe and event that's not too disruptive and yet accomplishes their goals as well.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much.
I'd like to make
They have a fan club here tonight. Councilmember Ray, did you want to go ahead and move forward?
Yes.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Ray. Do I have support?
Support.
Support by Councilmember Peterson. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Sheldon?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Vixen?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Giovanelli?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Wonderful. Next, we move to consideration of a request from the fire department for a vehicle lease. Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just reviewing this, I can see how this may help us in the future, but I just really had a problem with the amount of interest being charged on this here lease for the 10 years. And is there any negotiations with that?
Mr. City Manager?
Yeah, I'm actually going to have our finance director,
Okay.
Anthony, speak.
Hi. Yes, with regards to the interest, we did shop around and get some of the, rates, as it were. And this is pretty competitive what we're able to get. We could bid out the loan as well, but 2 parts to it is we've used this company as the same one we had before, and the rates were competitive with the other ones that we did ask on also. So we just felt, well, we've used them before, the rates were still competitive, so we'll go propose them again for the lease on this vehicle.
Okay, so then when we're finished with this lease, we just turn it in?
This is a lease purchase.
Just lease purchase only,
So
okay.
after it's done, it's ours, like an installment.
Okay, so just numbers are staggering with that high interest rate. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do we have a motion to approve consideration? I'm sorry, Councilmember Giovanelli.
No worries. Quick question. Anthony, what's the lease projected value of the rig after 10 years?
I believe we had a residual on it of $75,000.
Right, so we're paying
317.4. It's got a residual of 75, so roughly, that's the cash we come back at the end of the lease. So there's that as well. The whole idea is to try and match the payments to the useful life, right? So you're not paying for it all at once. So is it on balance high-ish interest in the market? I suppose, but I mean, if you were to actually peek under the hood, no pun intended, of your car lease, you'd probably see similar interest rate, if not worse. So I would, from a cash inflows and outflows standpoint, it makes more sense to go this route versus writing a check for $320,000 right now. Just my personal opinion, because we're trying to match when the monies come in from tax collections to the monies go out to service the debt. So if we think that which I don't know if we've even got this amount of money to write the check right now, you could write a check for $317,775 to buy it, and in effect be earning 15% on your money, but you would lose that ability to use that money for the next 10 years. That's the trade-off.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So, Anthony, you said we could go out to bid. Is there any possibility of moving the interest rate down a tad, or why didn't you do that? Because of time, or what's the
time is actually the big driving factor on versus go down and bidding it. It's essentially the same companies that are going to be bidding it also.
Okay.
But the time on when the delivery is due, which is going to be at the end of this month / beginning of next, and then the amount of time to prepare the RFP and do the bid, it didn't fit into the timetable, so we felt it was adequate with just getting the quotes.
Okay. So maybe just a learning curve, because we knew we were thinking of doing this, so maybe to go out a little bit quicker on that. The other thing is, my understanding is that and I think Mr. Giovanelli was talking about this, is when we sell it, we're basically matching the interest rate at the end of the day, give or take a few dollars. Am I interpreting that correctly?
I think that'd be fair, because you have to account, yeah.
So basically we're spending the money over time, or we're paying it out, and then, okay, so then we can't use it for 10 years, so.
Exactly.
Okay, so to me, that's balancing out. I just wanted to clarify that
Absolutely,
I was thinking on the right page. Thank you.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Two probably perfectly obvious observations, but the first one is we're not leasing a Chevy Malibu. And so the market is significantly different than the automotive general credit environment. And so I would expect that, given the specialization in the marketplace, that there probably is something of a higher interest rate. Now, that said, our credit worthiness couldn't, as a community, be any better. So that part is a little baffling. But nevertheless, we have had this lease buy discussion in goals and objectives and subsequent city council meetings a half a dozen times. So, my hope is that certainly, if something sticks out, that anyone feels free to question it. But the theory of lease versus buy, I think, is, for the most part, settled policy of the city council. And I think administration was following our lead on this. So I'm happy to support it as presented. Thank you.
So do I?
I have another
Yes,
question,
absolutely.
Madam Mayor. Okay, so I guess my next question then is to the attorney, because the letter was in there from 2015. Wanted to make sure that the concerns he addressed in there are all taken care of moving forward.
Mr. City Attorney.
They're taken care of as much as they were taken care of in 2015, and the city moved on forward with it. There were certain things that they did change for us. Is it exactly how I'd like it? No, but it was, we felt that we would include my letter just to show the same concerns I had before, some of which don't even apply, because since I wrote that letter before the 2015, they changed some things in our favor. So it was more of an informational if someone had thoughts on my concerns from before.
Okay, and I wasn't here for that, so thank you
Sure.
for that explanation.
Councilmember Giovanelli.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And to my colleague's point, there's not a huge pool of companies that do this, and I suspect a fair portion of that interest rate is in case one goes whoop at a so that with that, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve the lease for the new pumper truck as presented.
Do I have support on the motion? Support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, the roll.
Belden,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Cuthbertson,
Yes.
Giovanelli,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, we have old business tabled items. We have none this evening. Next, we will go to public hearing. Public hearing for the consideration of a zoning ordinance for a River's Edge district. Ms. City Planner.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Madam
Lydia.
Mayor. Before the council tonight is the first of the master plan districts that we are trying to implement into our zoning ordinance. The first district is the River's Edge district, which is on the southwest side of the city. This is the former cement batch plant site and maybe 4 or 5 other parcels that are included. This whole area is currently zoned as I-2 industrial, which allows for very intense industrial uses. When the future land use plan was written, this district area was envisioned as a mixed use 2 district that would still be a PICA, which is a potential intensity change area. During extensive discussions of this district, which was probably over a 5-month period, the Planning Commission decided that they did not want to keep this in a PICA because PICA involves a developer potentially coming up with a project that does not fit into the ordinance and the Planning Commission having to grant concessions. Considering the impact the site will have, this whole area as you enter the city off the bridge, they wanted to pull it out of the PICA and make a set of standards that somebody would have to adhere to so you get the best quality of development with not too much room to wiggle around. That said, the name of the district was pulled out of the PICAs and the name was changed to keep it more consistent with what it is, which is a River's Edge district. This district is basically envisioned as a mixed-use district, not intense commercial, but allowing for some commercial, a lot of office, and a mix of some residential too. The idea is to take advantage of its beautiful location right next to the Clinton River Trail, and at the same time its close accessibility to the downtown too. So the use palette that is permitted as principal permitted uses and as conditional uses is designed in a manner such that it will not compete or take away from the downtown businesses, but at the same time provide for something that creates its own niche, like an office campus type of setting. So the Planning Commission worked extensively on this district, the development standards, the building heights, which was over 2 full meetings just discussing how they would like that done. And at this time, the district is presented before you. It is a standalone district. The uses that happen on this district really do not get impacted by any of the other districts that you would be considering in the master plan. I believe the last time some district came before the council wanted to know what is going to happen right next to it. So future districts will come to you in pairs, but the River's Edge district stands all by itself and is before you tonight. I would be happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have on this district proceeding further.
So what I think I will do is open the public hearing.
Sounds
If there are any comments, close the public hearing, and then have council address. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to open the public hearing for consideration of a zoning ordinance for a River's Edge district. Please come forward. Okay, anybody else would like to come? Going once? Going twice? Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I can attest to the many meetings at which the Planning Commission considered this matter and am in support of the zoning ordinance. I do note one grammatical matter, which incidentally I saw replete throughout the Royal Parks marketing materials, is that the capitalization of the word downtown is improper either as a common noun, adjective, or adverb. In this case, it's being used as a common noun and should not be capitalized. Similarly, like I said, throughout this marketing material, it seems a small point, but it's actually an important one because there is no distinguishable place name that affords it a specific proper noun standing. Having said that, my only other comment is within the first sentence of the principal permitted uses statement. It strikes me that adding a single word may be advisable in thinking about this. It says, in the River's Edge district, today it's mix of 2 or more of the following uses shall be permitted. I think adding a word that says a substantial mix of 2 or more of the following uses shall be permitted, which is to say that if someone comes in with all residential, but adds, and I think you can have a ATM, if I'm not mistaken, as one of the principal permitted uses. So if I come in with a residential office building and I pop an ATM in there, do I meet the letter of the ordinance? Perhaps, but it certainly wasn't the intent. So I think the word substantial mix is something that is a clarifying statement to ensure that someone doesn't present a plan that is entirely form over substance with respect to the ordinance. So just sort of shaping the very end of this here in thought. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thanks. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, and thank you to the Planning Commission. I know that this was a lot of work, and the height and everything that they put into this was to better the community in that area. My question was on that exact same sentence, but I was wondering why it just doesn't say, but now Councilmember Cuthbertson made it a little bit clearer to me, the following shall be permitted instead of having two or more. But I see what you're saying. You're trying to make it so that this mixed use is mixed, actually mixed.
Yes. Substantially.
Substantially. So I don't, when those kind of words scare me though, because there's no definition, and my definition could be very different than any one person sitting on this board at the time that this decision is made. So I was wondering, is there a definition of substantial? Is it there's percentages, or is there something that was discussed, or anything other than just really making it so obtuse?
When the district was discussed, it was with the intention that it should be a truly mixed-use district. One of the planning commissioners brought up a good point. What if I build 3 buildings and I have 1 use in each building? Is that mixed use? No, it's not. That wasn't the intent of the district, which is why I added that sentence in to describe that each individual building or structure needs to be truly mixed use. I like the idea of adding the word substantial because it still gives the applicant some room. Defining a word such as substantial will be going too much into technical, like trying to dictate to a business owner just how much portion of his business can be one or the other. While planning gives guidelines, you try not to get too rigid in it that you box yourself into a corner and there's no room for you to encourage any flexibility or creativity. I think substantial gives you that little wiggle room, considering that we pull this out of the PICAs and there isn't too much in the first place. So I would suggest we put substantial in and still leave some room so that the city will still have the benefit of deciding on individual projects.
I love how you say wiggle. So what my thought is to put a definition of what substantial is. So there's no percentages, there's no nothing. It's just what the intent is, and maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know. I would like to hear from my other council member, but again, it's very substantial. What does that mean? So what if it's a big ATM machine? So I don't know.
I will work on language that means the same thing as substantial, but is not the word substantial, if that helps. I know what we are trying to get at.
Substantial time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a good.
Without spending substantial time.
We've done that.
Trying to help
billable time.
I understand what you're trying to get at.
Councils in the future. So thank you.
Any other council members? Yeah, Councilmember Giovanelli, then Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this is just sort of a proactive step on our part. There's nothing pending that we're trying to sort of shepherd into a certain direction. Okay, thank you. I'm happy to support it.
Councilmember Peterson.
I guess my concerns were, one, I would have liked to have seen the map in here again for the public to see it when it was, how it was really being presented.
Yeah, we should have had the map, I agree.
I apologize. There should be a map and an aerial, 2 drawings. One would show you the map outline of the district, and the another is an aerial superimposed on the existing development, so you'd know. I thought it was included in your packet. I will make sure from next time it is in your
we will have maps. It's a good catch.
No, that's fine. And then I guess number 9, though, because those are subject to the restrictions. I just wonder why. I mean, to me, they almost shouldn't even be included in being acceptable with the restrictions that are listed there. And that's just my thought on that. As long as we're not restricting, I don't like the substantial mixed use like that of 2 or more. I do know that, the residential we can't have on the main floor, and that mix would be like that, but based on the items that are here and thinking of mixing them up, kind of just, none of them like really go together very well to be mixed up. So, but that was just my thoughts on that. Other than that, I just want to make sure that it says that you can't exceed the 5 stories over there or the 60 feet, but it could still come back to the planning commission with, consideration and, to move forward with it going higher than that, correct?
Yes, provided they meet the line of sight test and the skyline test.
Okay, but is there a limit then? I mean, with that, there's still no limit?
No.
Okay. And so has anyone done, I mean, it probably doesn't matter, but is there anything wrong with the land over there right now to where we'll end up? I mean, I see this as being a great area to develop, but because of where it's located and everything else, and so close to everything else that's had an issue, I don't want us starting to put stuff down that, might be a problem later on and cause, where there's no remediation allowed later on or no funds for remediation.
The site is significantly in the floodplain, so when the uses, the first draft of this district had to be literally scratched and rewritten because we got feedback from some developers saying that it's in the floodplain and some of the uses that you're asking for are simply not possible on the ground floor of the building. So we took that back and we rewrote the district on the basis that it's in a floodplain. Considering the existing uses and the fact that it has been I-2 district, there is probably some issues, but that is something that we will know only when somebody decides to develop the property. And Rochester has very less of such property left, so any developer who so chooses to develop the property would definitely be willing to remediate it and then develop it as allowed.
Okay, and then how did we come up with the square footages on these, the apartments and that, or the residential piece of that?
The residential dwelling unit sizes is something that over a period of time, various communities have done a research to find out what is the reasonable sized dwelling unit to done. That is like a standardized data that is applied across all communities. Some of the newer, when I checked with the state of Michigan, the smallest dwelling unit is 80 square feet.
Okay.
Which, no, I don't know how you live in that, but evidently it is.
Okay.
So we wanted something that is reasonable while allowing for the smaller units that might appeal to the younger single person. At the same time, we are essentially a family community. We don't want to go that tiny home tiny.
That's something we did spend a lot of time.
Yes.
We went through those numbers back and forth. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Yeah, I would just perhaps to help my colleague with respect to the principal permitted uses. The proposed zoning here affords and allows for a huge expansion in the uses of right as opposed to what is permitted as a use of right on the site today. So in terms of the expandability and the use, sorry to keep using the same word, it is a huge step in the right direction for someone who would own the property, want to develop it, and how the community might want to see it developed.
And then one other, Madam. Yep. The other is there would not be allowed to do a 0 lot line on this at all, correct? So it says 75% is the maximum lot coverage.
No.
Shall not exceed 75%. Okay.
Yes, this district has setback requirements, and it is the setbacks are not flexible because it's out of the potential intensity change area. So these have to be complied with.
Okay, I know it's just close to the other one. That's why I wanted to make sure.
Yes.
All right, so do we have council to accept intro and for, yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. One more, because it's so close to the trail, how far does it have to be away from the trail?
It would probably be 50 because it depends on which yard of it faces the trail, and the ordinance also is written to require that they have to provide amenities and enhancements along the trail. Provision of the amenities and enhancements alone will end up widening that green belt or the setback from that. So will a building be located right next to the trail? No, because one of the requirements under the development standard subsection 10 is trail amenities, which will be required along the trail itself, which means any buildings or development will be set back behind that.
Okay, I just know that a 5-story building along the trail there at only 50 feet is going to cause, a lot of darkness and shadowing throughout that whole trail.
In order to address that, the Planning Commission said if it goes to 5 stories, anything more than 3 stories has to be a stepped back design. So the
Okay.
building is not going to be a straight block sitting over there. It'll have a design. There are a lot of architectural requirements built into this to ensure that it doesn't become a box next to the trail.
And it just seems so simple here and so simplified that without all that additional information, it raises the questions. So thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I mean, those were all good questions, and I like that there's no, the setback is where the Planning Commission landed. On the stepped design, I guess I was assuming that was along the whole project, not just the trail. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, thank you. And I'll move to approve. Or first reading adoption.
Yeah, introduction.
Introduction and
Yep.
support. First reading. Yes, thank you.
Who did thank you, Councilmember Cuthbertson. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Belden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
No.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, we have legislative deliberation. Update regarding 790 Letica Drive, Cedar Brook of Rochester, an independent living, assisted living, memory care, and respite living center. Mr. City Manager. Vidya.
Yes.
Ms. Planner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Should call you by your first name, I apologize.
No problem. Before the council tonight is approval of an amended site plan and special projects review for Cedar Brook. Cedar Brook is a project that the City Council has looked at before. This project appeared before the Planning Commission in April of 2016 and subsequently appeared before the Council on May 23rd, 2016 when you granted site plan and special projects approval. Once the project was approved, Mr. Demon of the Demon Group, they went back and they started designing the details of the project. During the course of designing the project, they came across some logistical challenges such as generators to power the building, additional requirements which get fine-tuned when the project, which were not anticipated at the time the original approval took place, construction costs. All that caused the applicant to make some modifications to the plan. Some of the modifications were minor enough. However, once the appearance of the building is altered, considering it's a site plan and a special project, they had to redo the process and reappear before the Planning Commission and the City Council seeking amended site plan approval. I will summarize the changes from the original plan that you reviewed till now in brief. The footprint of the building is exactly the same. It has not shifted. The applicant has added in about 9 new units, and that is totally based upon their shifting of the internal floor plan within the building itself. The landscaping, for the most part, is almost identical on the site with a few minor changes. They have enhanced the landscaping at the front entrance of the building. Some of the landscape areas that have been reduced are the internal landscape areas, which are for the residents only. It will not affect any visibility of the site from the outside. With regard to parking, they are compliant. One of the biggest changes you will see on the site is that 80 of the parking spaces are now located under carports. Considering that this is an assisted living, independent living, and senior living facility, the nature of the customer clientele that they cater to does require some amount of covered parking to serve their needs. As a result of which, they came back with a proposal to put in carports for 80 of the spaces, and these are located along the south and the southeast property line. The carport design is simple, structurally. There is not much room for creativity in a carport. It's a roof with support pillars. The maximum I could suggest was brick pillars, but that didn't make sense because the chances of the brick getting hit are higher. So the Planning Commission found the steel support beams to be acceptable. It's not an unattractive carport, but it is a carport at the end of the day, and it's going to look like a carport. The applicant has added a generator unit area along the east property line. It is heavily screened. They have existing trees on PAR side of the property, and they have discussed it with PAR or GHB Pharmaceuticals, and they were fine with the placement of the units there. All of the sidewalk network inside the site remains the same. They did make revisions to the architecture. The first time they appeared before the Planning Commission, the architecture was significantly stepped back, and we found that we could not support that revised architecture because it defeated the purpose of what we had seen in the building in the first place. The applicant took feedback from the Planning Commission and they went back to the drawing board and they redesigned the entire building to present a final product which possibly looks better than what was originally approved. I'm sure when you see the slideshow with the line of sight diagrams, you'll see that the building is much more attractive than it was before. And the architectural materials used are still high quality and something that is in keeping with what we would expect for Rochester. With regard to the special projects benefit, public benefit that they're providing to the community, that was something they were doing in conjunction with OPC, and that remains unchanged at this time. So based upon the revisions that the applicant has made to the project, they have amended it, but the proposed amended meets the intent or exceeds the standards that you had set for it the first time around. So the Planning Commission has recommended approval of the project, and we recommend that the City Council accept the Planning Commission's recommendation to grant amended site plan and special projects approval to the project tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions the council might have.
Any questions for the city planner right now?
I'll just ask, she can answer. Based on the plan as on, I don't know which one this is, it's the landscape plans, L101. Where in conjunction with the carports is the entry for the people walking in? Oh, that'll be in there, okay,
Yes.
perfect, okay.
Mr. Demond has got a
that's fine.
very good
Okay.
presentation put together with the old and the new, so the comparisons are very easy to make.
So Mr. Demona, I'll invite you up this right now and you can go ahead and do your presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. Vidya, I think, did an excellent summary of some of the changes. As you know, when you it was here a year ago, we don't have construction plans, we have conceptual plans, and as you go work through all the details, and there are literally thousands upon thousands of them in a building, things change, and one of the things that Nick and his team have been clear about is if anything significant changed, we'd prefer that you come back. So here we are. Hopefully, with your blessing, we'll be able to move forward. Let me address the question that you asked. The carports are generally down in here. This is the main entrance to the building. So this is Parkdale, this is Letica. You'd come in here, the residents would park here, and then visitor parking and staff parking is over here. But that's the front entrance to the building. Okay. This probably the single biggest change is right here. This is the generator. Under our licensing regulations, we're required to have a generator for the assisted living and memory care. This particular generator will run both assisted and memory, which are each one floor each, but it'll also run the entire building, is our current plan. We had initially thought the generator could go here, but based on some studies we did, we've got all our fresh air intakes over here, and we just don't have enough separation between the exhaust and the fresh air intakes. It's just too dangerous. So we worked with PAR. They're fine with the location here. What you don't see on this plan is there's a bunch of very large pine trees here that will shield the generator from PAR's property. And then we've also, I'll show you another detail where we're enclosing the generator with behind a brick wall.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ramon. Forgive me, I failed to ask this question at the Planning Commission meeting, but on the other side of Parkdale, there is residential.
Yes.
How much further is that generator away from a residential dwelling unit?
Well, let's see. If each of these are roughly 10 feet wide, like, yeah, at least 150.
At least 150 feet.
Yeah.
So further away.
Any
from
noise
where-
is further away. And at that distance, even at this location, the fumes from the generator dissipate pretty quickly because it's out in the open air at that point.
Sure. I didn't think of the additional benefit of having moved it away from Parkdale Road as well. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the comparison of the landscape plans. As Vidya said, we didn't really change a whole lot in the landscape plan. Mostly we refined the plan as we kind of fleshed out the details. We did make a minor change to the interior courtyard, but you'll never see that. And then we've relocated some parking spots away from here, or away from Parkdale. Okay. Vidya talked about the carports. The reason for the carports is, during our pre-marketing process that we're going through, one of the consistent feedbacks that we're getting from the residents is we'd really like to have covered parking. So in talking to the Planning Commission, they said, well, maybe, but we want you to minimize, the typical look of the the carport. So what we came up with is, rather than having a typical carport where you have bracing columns all the way around it, we've gone to center post columns, and so we've minimized the amount of columns in the property. This is a detail of the generator enclosure. So it's a brick wall going up to the full height of the generator with screen walls. And this area here is our service courtyard, which there was a variation on this on the previous plan. That's where all of our transformers and a bunch of fresh air intakes are there. And again, it's all screened with brick. The Planning Commission said, okay, can you identify where the changes are? Effectively, there were no changes in the independent living, which were the top 3 floors. The changes really came on 1, 2, and 3. On 1, as we developed and refined the plan, we found we had an excess of common space, and we were able to put in 5 additional premium independent living units on the first floor. And then we modified the mix slightly as we started to kind of study the market a little bit more between assisted and memory care, so that resulted in 2 more units on each floor. The plan you see on the left is what was approved last year. The plan on the right is what we are proposing and this Planning Commission has approved. Let me show you some. The elevations are good, but we also have some renderings. I think that's probably a better look at it. This is the main entrance to the building, as it is here. And best as we could, we put them side by side. And what happens in the design process is, you start to play with the room sizes, the mixes, and windows start to shift. People say, I need this, I need that. Stairwells come into play, where you didn't know that you needed to necessarily have them. So that led to the refinement of the building. This is looking at the main entrance. This is looking at from Letica and Parkdale. That's the corner of the building. This is looking at Letica North, so that's the Parkdale light, and this is where you turn right to go into the property. And then this is Parkdale looking west, so that's the Letica light, and you turn, well, you can't, we're going to restrict left turn movements into the property, so if you are westbound on Parkdale, the way you get into the property is go to the light, turn left, and then turn left into the property. That was a request from PAR, so it's a right in, right out only movement at the entrance. And that's it. Those are the highlights. Any questions?
Questions from council? Well, let me just real quick. Did I have somebody had a question? I'll take.
Where is the trash container?
Well, here, I'll show you right here. The trash container is screened by the brick walls and sits right behind all those trees.
It's looking
This is
towards
Parkdale looking
residential.
west. So we put it Parkdale looking west, yes sir, toward Letica. You would be basically standing in the front of the PAR driveway right now looking toward Letica.
Okay. What is it covered by? Is it a wall container or?
It's completely surrounded by brick wall, brick and block wall, yes sir.
Okay. So if everyone's fine there, I'm going to go ahead and move to council. Councilmember Peterson, did you have a question?
I do. On here, is there a sidewalk all the way around the whole entire
Yes.
exterior of it? Then how far is the building from the corner in feet?
Let me come here. So the setbacks, I believe, were 50 feet?
Yeah, 50.
So we've met the setback. So the right-of-way line probably sits right in here somewhere. And it's set 50 feet back from the right-of-way line.
It's hard to tell from the picture.
Sure.
Looked like it was right on the road.
It's probably 50 plus 5 plus 10, so is that 50, 60, 65 feet from the street?
Councilmember
Yes.
Peterson?
Yep, I'd just like to add that the rendering and all the changes you made looks more aesthetically nice than the first one. I still do not like the 5 stories that you have here, so, but other than that, thanks for accommodating all the needs that were required.
Councilmember Cuthbertson and the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Just one observation that may be important to some, perhaps not, but coming from the Planning Commission was that some of the actual parapet height is actually lower on this building than the original design. And the renderings side by side of some of the elevations don't quite indicate that visually.
Right.
But in some instances we're 2 or 3 feet different. So the building's profile has come down slightly at the parapet level, just by way of reference.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Is 6 feet.
So this has been quite the project, because I was on Planning Commission when you first
Somehow they always take longer than you think.
So I really appreciate you listening to the Planning Commission and really adapting. I do have a few questions. I mean, the carports are not ideal, but I think that what is ideal is that they're facing par. They're not facing out towards the road, so really no one's going to see them. And I do appreciate the 2 columns versus the corner, because it makes it more George Jetson looking, kind of a cool, kind of looking carport. So one of my questions was, and I was trying to go back to my notes because I asked this before, is how many employees do you have on your largest shift?
Oh boy.
I mean, give or take.
Give or take, probably about 30. I think it's about 30. I think it was about 30.
30 or 34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other question I had was on your common space. So floor 1, that's really the biggest change on the interior. And so your common space, and really much more than I do about what is needed for common space. Can you tell us just a little bit about what that changes and how that's going to affect the citizen that's living there, or really is it going to be no effect, because it seems like a lot of space was taken?
Okay, so again, this becomes one of those design refinements that I mentioned at the start. So remember, you have to, as you design this building, you sort of start with assisted living in memory, because they have all the regulatory requirements that have to fit on those floors. And from there, you build your independent living, and then you decide, what do I have left on the first floor for common space? And so you take out we have a laundry list of requirements that we have to have in our building. The Aviators Pub, Claire's Cafe, the movie theater, the wellness center, the salon, those kind of things. And we have internal sort of guidelines for how many square feet each one of those rooms should be for each person in the building, and depending on their level of care within the building. And what we found out is, because the second and third floor sort of set the footprint, we ended up with extra space on the first floor. We still have all the same amenities, with one exception that we had before, which is before we had a separate chapel and a movie theater. Now we're combining it, which is the same thing we're doing in Northville, because what we're finding in our Bloomfield property, where we have one of each, is neither one is getting utilized to the best of its ability. So it's a much better utilization of space. So all the same amenities are there. They're just now right-sized for the population of the building.
Okay, so that makes sense. And then my last question is, what if the building was totally full? What is the population?
No, you wouldn't have 2 per unit. You'd have probably 100 in independent living, and 34 each. So run roughly 160.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Any other question? Councilmember Giovanelli.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you go back to the map? I wanted to talk about the service yard location for a second.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing that's come up time and time again over my 9 years on council is the location of things that make noise in proximity to where people live. And if I understood you correctly, that's where all the HVAC stuff is at?
Not all of it. That's the what it is there is there's mostly it's electrical stuff. It's a couple of transformers are here, and then there is one fresh air intake for the kitchen.
Okay.
There's a makeup air unit for the kitchen in there.
Got it. So, because there's residential right across the street there on Parkdale.
None of those should be making any noise.
Okay. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of hours I've spent in council meetings where people are angry about the placement of air conditioners, and I just, we just can't have that. So.
In my case, those are all premium corner suites all the way up.
Got it.
So
they don't want it either.
They don't want it either. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. And then lastly, video, what's that property zoned at currently? And if not this, what else could go there?
It is zoned RP, which is Research Park District, and Research Park would allow for a whole host of industrial
Yeah,
uses.
that's what I figured. Okay, so that's what I remember from the last time we were on. This essentially, it's an industrial, so this was our...
You could have manufacturing facilities over there.
That's what I recall. I just want to make sure that my recollection was correct with respect to that. Thank you.
Any other, yes.
One other, like, this is not like a hospital which has an incinerator, so you do not have an incinerator in the building. Okay.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilmember Ray.
Wrong guy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Cuthbertson. I thought I had to go.
I was going to offer a motion.
Okay, so please do.
Mr. Ray, you have the question?
All right, not a question. I wanted to thank Mr. Devon for his schedules of working with the Planning Commission, and that everything that I've read or learned that certainly states that if the community is going to have an operator, if that's the correct term to use when it comes to senior housing, that certainly your group is. However, in the designs, unfortunately for me, the straw is the size in the scope. I won't give you my opinion on the differences in design because it is both back and forth, but unfortunately that's still just one sticking point for me.
Understood.
Thank you.
Councilmember Jovenel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And it is, I agree with my colleague to that end, and what's driving my decision-making process on this is the underlying usage of the land and how it's restricted. And this really, I don't think there's a person in this room who wants to see that industrial operation at that location. But I'll tell you, it's in terms of being among the most controversial things I've had to vote on council, this has been one of them just due to the sheer size and scope of the project. There's not a lot of fans over on the east side that are excited about it. I'd say less than 50-50, but I think it's a good project on balance for the city, and I tend to support it.
And that's why I supported it. On balance is what could be put there. It's not going to be easy when it goes up. People are going to be, people are going to be, it's like going to be in their face. But I think on balance, it is a good project. It's a good, we've done a lot of research on the back end. So that's why I felt comfortable moving forward again. And I do like the newer, and I do think it's a little bit lower, so that was helpful. Yes.
Madam Mayor, if the site were not developed for some such use and it was a use by right, which means if somebody proposes a site plan to the Planning Commission, as long as it meets the setback standards, it must be approved. In this district, you can get any research, testing, developing, manufacturing, warehousing operation. It would allow for technical and occupational training schools. You can have banks, credit unions, any one of those uses with drive-throughs. Hospitals, clinics, veterinary clinics are all uses by right. And you can have community playgrounds, pools. There are a whole host of much more intensive uses that could possibly go in by right over here without even looking at the special exception uses. So
thank you. Councilmember Bixson, then I'll go to Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Yes. I agree with Mr. Ray. I mean, this is a good company. I mean, the work you've done in other places has been outstanding. And it is controversial, and I supported it last time. Taking a lot of heat, but I thought it was a good project. But to me, to come back and want more and more square footage and carports and stuff, that's just a bridge too far for me. And it's like, we were asked to do the first one, and now we're asked to do even more. That's a bit much. So I cannot support this, and I know the planner seems to be very much in favor of this, and I understand that. But I think it's a lot to come back and ask. To redo this vote, so I cannot support this time. Thank you.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you. Just so the council is aware, when there is any significant change to a special project, it is a requirement for the developer to come back. The developer could potentially build what's already been approved, regardless of whether or not these changes might be approved. Is it the building he really wants to build? Obviously not. And, going back through architectural engineering and a whole host of other things, not to mention his time and everyone else's involved, isn't something that's going to happen, I think, to ask for a whole lot more. In fact, what I understand, the square footage is primarily from interior spaces that were already in existence or stairwells. So to call this a manifestly larger building, respectfully, I just don't think that it's accurate based on the way the square footage is being calculated. The building footprint is exactly the same and it's shorter. The countable square feet is slightly different based on how the interior space is being used. So in terms of its impact on the community, I think it's a more polite site having moved the generator. I understand that not everyone may be comfortable with it the second time around, and there's always risk in that. But for me, I think that this isn't even the right thing on balance. This is the right thing on its merits. I think this is a very positive development for this community. It addresses a major need in terms of the demographics of this community. We saw a study recently that showed what the aging population in this community is going to be. And if we aren't prepared to address that from a continuation or a continuum of housing, then I think we're falling short on what we've committed to be a community for all ages. So, this for me continues to be something that I support. I believe it had the unanimous support of the Planning Commission. I understand some of my colleagues may feel differently about it, but for me, it is time to help the Damone Group get this thing started. I understand from discussions at the Planning Commission that if this were to be approved, that within
sometime by the end of July.
Yeah, within a matter of weeks, that a groundbreaking would occur. So, with that, I'm happy to make a motion this evening, Madam Mayor, to approve the amended site plan and special project approval as presented.
Support. Motion by Councilmember Cuthbertson, support by Councilmember Giovanelli.
Oh, and one more comment.
Absolutely.
And the special projects portion of this has a substantial and material contribution to the Older Persons Commission in terms of the special projects off-site benefit, and so this directly helps the OPC, and I don't think that should be lost in the translation here either. Thank you.
I will take the vote. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dolan.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Don't mean to hold everyone up. I just would like to have some clarification then. I didn't see anything in there about what the special projects are for the OPC, but in comparison of knowing how close it is to the residential neighborhood there, right across the street, did anyone actually see how far that is? What is the distance from the building over to?
It's probably at least.
To a home, it's 250 plus 35, so 285 to the back of anybody's deck.
Okay.
We did a study. We
Go
did
ahead.
actually a line of sight study from the second floor of people's looking down, and then from the building looking out also. So obviously you can't hide it, but being low on the ground, dropping the parapet, and with the vegetation on Parkdale, and then the additional vegetation, the trees along Parkdale, it should be pretty much minimized. Again, you can't hide the building, there's no doubt about it.
Right. No, I didn't anticipate that.
Right.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would you like, we can send you what the give to the OPC was. It was an extension onto the sidewalk. Exactly, and they had full support from Renee over the OPC. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dolan.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
I'm sorry, where's your vote? I missed that.
Yes.
Okay, no.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
No.
Ray.
No.
4-3, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next, we will go to consideration of an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance, Article 39, definitions to add definitions for front-loaded, side-loaded, and rear-loaded garages, and Article 21, supplemental district regulations, Section 2102, accessory buildings, to add illustrations, reduce driveway length, and clarify placement of garages, second reading and adoption. Mr. City Manager.
Again, Vidya is going to take the bulk of this, and you kind of highlighted there's the additional drawings in here and the clarifications. So I'll hand it off to Vidya to actually get into the details.
Thank you, Ms. City Planner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This garage ordinance is probably 8 or 9 months worth of work and countless meetings at the Planning Commission. Basically, this ordinance came about when there was a discussion whether the required side yard setback should be reduced from 5 to 3 feet. And the Planning Commission decided that was absolutely something they did not want. They wanted the minimum side yard setback to be established at 5 feet. When you come to some lots, after you take the driveway length, which in our ordinance required was 25 feet, and then you have a 5-foot setback, it really places a challenge on how a garage can be placed on the site. A 25-foot driveway is a very unusual requirement because a standard parking space length is 20 feet, and which gives you another 1 feet because the right-of-way line, you have the sidewalk, you have another 1 feet. So the Planning Commission did not want to touch the side yard setback, keep it as it is, but reduce the driveway length from 25 feet to 20 feet to make it more feasible for people to place their garages while maintaining the setbacks from their neighboring properties. The definitions for side, rear, and front-loaded garages was added because lots of newer homes are being built with side-loaded garages, rear entry garages, and there's nothing in the ordinance to define it. So we added those definitions in. The driveway lengths were reduced from 25 to 20 feet, and basically illustrations were added for corner lots and for interior fill lots to show how a garage can be placed. The idea was that garages do not become the predominant facade when you're driving down a street. Most of the homes, the historic homes in Rochester, have these beautiful porches, but as these garages are getting bigger with being 2-car and 3-car garages, the front entrance to the house becomes minimized, and what you see is a garage with a house attached to it. This ordinance aims to still keep the front entrance to the house, or the principal house, as what should be viewed from the street, with the garage concealed in the back. And that's the ordinance before you tonight. It went through about 6-7 rewrites before it came to this point.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So I think this was on Planning Commission too, when I was back in the Planning Commission. And I voted no the first time, and the reason is because of Figure 4. The attached garage, you're putting the driveway way in the rear back, and so the hardscape is becoming more prevalent, and that's what we're trying to get away from. There's drainage, there's all kinds of issues when you have more hardscape and you don't have at least 30%, which we currently have of our current ordinance. So my suggestion that wasn't taken, but I still would love to share it with you all, is that if you have the garage in the front, you could say that there has to be a porch, so it looks like a normal, you'd have a door and you'd have the front porch, and nobody would know if it was a garage or not. I know that this has been done in some other communities, but I think that Figure 4 is it's a consequence that I'm not happy with. I think it's a consequence that we don't want, that because of how we arranged this ordinance, and we didn't be creative of how we could put that garage in the front, it's hurting us. And so I am not, I mean, I appreciate all the work and I know how much work goes into it, but I still feel that this is a consequence that we could have overcome.
Madam Mayor, if I may, point well taken. Picture Figure 4 with a side loaded garage. The concrete between the face of the garage and a 3-car garage is 10 times more concrete than having a 12-foot driveway go to the back and making it turn in. So picture all that hardscape is in the front. You can put a porch or whatever you want on it, but the front of the home is a giant concrete pad because they have to be able to come in and make it 90 to get into their building. So that was the compromise we had to make, Councilwoman. It was like, you're going to get it in the back or you're going to get it in the front. By putting it in the back, they reduced their backyards, their green space in their backyard, but that's their decision. Not everybody driving down the street has to see all this concrete. And whether you put a porch across the front of it or not, you'd still have over 60% of the front face concrete, wide and deep, 3 cars deep. So that was the challenge that we had.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so in figure 4, what my understanding was, if you had the garage up front, then you're just turning in right there, and you're saving, I don't know how many feet that is.
It's got to be way set back in to make the turn in. Kind of like in the back, so you get all that.
The challenge, the point is well taken that it will look like you're adding more driveway, but here is the challenge. Most of our lots in Rochester are 50 feet wide. Your side yard setback on one side is 5, it's 10 feet on the other side. 15 feet deducted, you have 35 feet. A standard 2-car garage that is built here, nobody builds it smaller than 25 feet wide. So now you have a 35-foot wide house, 25 feet of which will be taken up by the garage, and you will have a 10-foot house. A 10-foot wide house with the door occupying its space is not a practical usable porch at all. You will probably be able to get 1 chair in there. So while in theory, in paper, they can get a porch in there, it'll be a porch that for all means and purposes is completely non-usable. You will have a house with a 25-foot garage and a 10-foot house portion of it, which is what the Planning Commission was trying to avoid. Several of the planning commissioners in driving around town came across so many properties where they said, I can see that there is a front door to the house, but it's only a means of entry into the house because all I see is this garage. And although these garages are being built with windows and all, there is no mistaking the fact that it is a garage. It is storage. So now you have storage butting up right against the window. And when you drive down the street, it gives the appearance that there is a garage with the house minimized. So yes, it does add a driveway that is going in the back, but like Nick says, the driveway tends to be narrower because you're trying to get a car to the back that can then make the turn radius into their garage.
Okay.
So your wider, the concrete will get narrower. Yes, it'll go to the back, but your yard space will be maintained, and what you see in the front of the house will be the front door and a proper porch.
Okay.
Our lots are narrower, so the logistics of what people build today, you will not get a very practical, livable front view of the house.
If I may, and it's very important, this is R1, 2, and 3, which is the west side. We understand the east side. You can do what you said on the east side, and there's a lot of them. So it basically just controls these 55-foot lots. We don't have a 100-foot lot. Because on a 100-foot lot, you probably could do exactly what you said.
Okay.
But everybody's 50 or 55 or 45. Mine's 42. So it's just
Okay, so I mean, thank you for the explanation. That does, give some clarity. How many non-compliance homes, because I asked that before, are we going to have when we put this into play?
20 to 34.
Okay, and so what happens when that person sells, and because we have, that comes before Planning Commission all the time, then we have a non-compliance. So how are we going to deal with it? Because now we have a consequence that we're...
As long as the garage was built with permits and it was built when an ordinance was not in place, it's a legal non-conforming structure and its rights are protected in perpetuity.
Okay, so if they make a design change, typically they have to go compliance. Am I not correct? No?
Not on that. So if it met the ordinance requirements at the time, like they said, they're good to go. No mortgage problems.
If they decide to demolish the house in its entirety, the new structure has to comply. But if they are remodeling it, no, they will not be asked to move the foundations to comply because they built the structure legally based on an ordinance that was in place. So they are a legal non-conforming structure and all their rights are protected.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Perhaps a different discussion, and I think at some point will come from the Planning Commission as we deal with infill standards more generally. I think is this tension between 30% lot coverage versus another 25%, 30% of hardscape that is put onto the lot creates a whole different feel, creates a much more massive structure in some sense, that you don't have the green space and the buffering that helps it interact better with the neighborhood. And so, you know, at some point, you know, we can change the percentage, right? Which I think a lot of people will, particularly the development community, the residential building development community, will howl about. It may or may not be a good idea. You know, that's a whole different policy question. But you know, I'm not too keen on saying, you know, how big your back deck can be, right? I think, you know, we reached the end of our regulatory, you know, goodwill at some point. But this one really seemed, from a policy standpoint, as the deputy manager and the planner have indicated, that there are some really strange outcomes with these front-loaded garages where, you know, again, just a small portion of the house is peeking out of the side of the garage, and it really has a real negative effect from an infill basis in a lot of instances in, you know, established neighborhoods that have a completely different pattern of development. Now, those things change over time, certainly, but when you talk about the relationship of the front of a house and the street and a sidewalk and potentially a porch versus a very cold and distant garage just sort of sticking out there as this gigantic or large buffer between that home and the street and the sidewalk, it really is changing the field of neighborhoods in a way that I think most people kind of recognize as being not Rochester. And so is it perfect? No. And will there be a handful of outcomes that, you know, some people may dislike? Probably, when zoning decisions are made, that, as you say, there are consequences. But I think on balance, what we're getting already has a far greater consequence than what I think this policy change hopes to avoid. So, thank you.
Any other, Councilmember Peterson?
Yeah, just, thank you, Madam Mayor. I still see the same problem I have with this as I did before, and it's as some of these have just been redone, and, you know, built on and garages added, the slopes of the land and all this concrete is just really going to play havoc on the neighbor for drainage issues, because those really are not addressed when they're putting this concrete in to where, for the runoff onto the other people's property. And I see that on, I mean, there's 5 of them right now that I can count that have huge issues with that, with all that concrete. And granted, anyone can have as much concrete as they want in their yard, but we're opening this up to where, you know, there is so much concrete that it's really going to affect the neighbors.
If I may, a good point, and so I can use my own home as an example. I'm on a 42-foot lot, and the previous owner had to put a curb down, which you normally wouldn't see a curb on an interior residential driveway, but to keep the water from getting over the property. And you're right, as the drop off in the back or to the side, they'll have to curb their driveway to keep their water on their property, so that can happen by ordinance. So you're 100% right. If there was just a flat driveway, you're going to cause all kinds of problems. But they'll be required to curb it, which is another 4 inches to 6 inches. So when they design their home, they have to design that curb in there to make sure they have the proper width to get their SUV past their house to get to the back. But we will make sure that
fold the mirrors in.
Yeah, my truck would not.
I don't see that. There's the 3-foot minimum though on the side though.
5 foot.
The 5. Well, there's definitely on a couple of them. There's not 5 feet. So that.
About to curb the concrete, water can't leave their property.
I do want to clarify that the zoning regulations do not have any bearing on the fact that whatever concrete is placed, whether it's for a front entry or a side entry garage, it still has to be engineered properly, and the drainage has to be contained. So the zoning really has no impact on the fact that people are still required to contain the water from their site. So that is probably more of an engineering, building, and code enforcement issue than a planning and zoning. This is a policy matter for keeping the community's character intact, but the engineering part of it has to be addressed under the building department.
Madam Mayor, if I may. Well, and so to follow up with that though, when you are driving down the street and all you see is concrete, you don't see the house anymore. So, I mean, that's where I have the issue, that all you see now is we have a lot of concrete. So.
Okay, so do I have a motion for second reading and adoption?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Giovanelli.
Support.
Support by Councilmember Ray. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
No.
Ray.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is discussion regarding the historic ordinance. Mr. City Attorney, please.
Yes, thank you. In your packet is, I was asked to compile the city's ordinance, their historic preservation ordinance, as well as the state statute. There was discussions a number of months ago regarding whether or not there was interest in changing the historic preservation ordinance to mirror the state law. This was in the opt-in Rochester Historic Landmark discussion. And so what I've done is my memo goes through and identifies the few places where the Rochester Historic Preservation Ordinance is different than the state statute. But then I went through and I made a chart, section by section by section, which I hope City Council found that to be helpful. So you can actually see, if you did a comparison, truly how verbatim most of the ordinance is. So really the highlights of the changes are the city's opt-in allowance and the provision for the Rochester Historic Landmark properties.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask a question. Section 27-3 and 27-4 was not, those are two items that are not applicable to the states. So the state doesn't have those two that we do have. Am I correct on
I'm sorry,
that?
were you talking about 27-23 and 24?
I'm sorry, yes, 27-23 and
Yeah.
24.
That's correct.
So we have those, they do not.
Yes, but those aren't, let me just pull those up here a minute.
They didn't seem to be all in order. I highlighted them. Acquisition of historic resources, well, actually, historic districts created and recording of designations.
So those sections, and I would actually add in 25 as well, those are not substantive
Okay.
ordinances. What they are is that once you get through the process of adding historic districts, you actually have to say, we're adding in a historic district. So that's what those 27-23 does. And then it says that it's going to be recorded is 24. That's just a logistical thing. And where 27-25 is, that reflects now those historic districts that you've already created. So those are property specific. So if you were to add any historic districts after this, then it would simply be a next subsection in section 27-25. So really 23, 24, and 25, there really wouldn't be a corresponding state statute. It just, the city would declare it to be, historic districts to be created.
So if somebody wants to opt in, we would add them under 27-25. We would add there, we would make an addition.
Well, I don't want to confuse it, so forget about the opt-in.
Okay.
If there was another historic district created in whatever means,
Okay.
Whether if the opt-in, opt-out is taken out,
Yeah.
then it would simply be added to that section, regardless of how it was created.
Okay. Council. Go ahead.
Ladies first.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, the chart was very helpful, so thank you for that. Otherwise, I'd probably been lost.
Ask me for one.
So thank you. Yeah, I would be asking you for one. So for me, it looks like we pretty much mirror everything. What I'm in favor of is keeping the opt-in and removing the list. So that's kind of where I am at, because it really mirrors what the state is saying. Am I correct on that?
Yes, except for those two sections, the opt-in, because the state statute doesn't allow for an opt-in, or doesn't provide for an opt-in, and the Rochester Historic Landmark properties, those are really in tandem when they were put in, because the opt-in, there was a balance that was tried to be created by, there was an interest in allowing this to be an opt-in mechanism to create historic districts, to be balanced by some city council that wanted to say, okay, we understand that it's going to be a voluntary process, but there are certain Rochester properties that we think may fall into the yeah but section, which is we might, if those are threatened, we might want to do that anyway, even if they didn't opt in. One issue is if you took, and I'm not trying to take a position either way, but if you took out the Rochester Historic Landmark properties and kept the opt-in, just know that under that language, I would have to construe that to be that there would be no way for City Council, other than in an opt-in situation, that another historic district would be created. So just know that that would be the outflow of that.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
So if we took the list out, and on my understanding is that if Rochester decided to make a section of town a historic district, we still have that option to do that.
Well, and that's where I'm trying to caution you, because if you just leave in the opt-in, you've essentially taken yourself out of that option, which is like say there's a certain section of town that the City Council feels should be historic district. So if you say that this process only occurs on an opt-in basis, you're limiting yourself to any other way. So, and that's where I think the idea was, if people didn't want to have the historic district, historic Rochester landmark property section, it may be more consistent to just adopt the state law provision, which did not have the opt-in.
Okay.
And it also didn't have the Rochester historic landmark properties.
So to make it just consistent with the state law, it would be taking out the opt-in and taking out the list.
Correct.
Thank you.
And would property still be able to say they want to be in the district?
Absolutely. It could be initiated by the city. It could be initiated by the anybody could start that process or request that process be started.
Okay, so that answers a couple of mine. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, council under the plain local historic district acts ordinance, as as the city attorney has indicated, council as a matter of policy can still treat it as opt-in if they want to. They can simply say, look, we're not going to do it unless you volunteer. Now, I don't happen to think that's good policy, but any four people up here could have that view and say, well, no, I'm not prepared to create one of these without the assent of the property owner. But if you leave a portion, if you leave the opt-in section, you have taken the power entirely away from a future council that may say, yeah, in a limited instance, it may be important to do that. And beyond this, what I'm actually also concerned about and thinking about it a little bit more, if you take out the landmark list and you leave the opt-in, might not a future property owner who owns a historic resource that's in a district, for example, comes back and says, gee whiz, I don't want to be in this, and you had an ordinance which included powers that were not specifically authorized under state law to create a district that was in an opt-in provision, therefore the legislative act that you undertook was not authorized, and therefore I want to pull this originally opted in historic district property out based on the fact that your ordinance doesn't comply with the black letter of the statute. That is a very big problem. And so the question is does this matter enough to this community to say, all right, there's a time and a place for historic district ordinance, and the city ought to have the one that is, in closest keeping with the Local Historic Districts Act, because we've seen arguments from clever attorneys that have said, this portion of your ordinance doesn't mirror the act. Mm-hmm. We're going to get that on a future challenge on an opt-in property if we leave this. The policy construct of having this balance between opt-in and landmark was an attempt to sort of soften the way we implemented the act. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. And so now, what is the question that is before us? Are we going to have a historic district ordinance, or are we not? And to me, if we're going to have one, we ought to strip both of the non-conforming sections out and live with a local historic district ordinance that is entirely consistent with the act. Even though that wasn't my first preference in passing the ordinance we have. But as it's turned out, as a practical matter, I think it's the safest way to proceed and still have the historic preservation ethos in this community. Thank you.
I will just say that, like all good intentions, sometimes things don't go exactly as planned. And so it would be my intention that we follow the state, mirror the state law, the state act. That way we're protected and we don't have to go down another road that we might not want to later on. But I do appreciate the intent. It was there in the beginning. We do want to protect our historical, we do care about historical preservation. It just didn't work out the way. So do we have any kind of guidance from council on, yes, Councilmember Ray?
Yep. Oh, finish your thought, please.
No, I was just going to say, if we have some guidance on council, how we like to proceed, I would appreciate that. Councilmember Ray.
To echo the comments of the mayor and Councilmember Cuthbertson, but also to punctuate that if it's something that we care enough about on a go-forward basis, we should care enough about it to make it as right as possible, if that makes sense, and also defend it in a fashion that doesn't open it to circumstance and argument and whatever down the way. So based on at least what's been presented, I would be comfortable adopting the state statute with the caveat that in this, to give the property owners that have expressed disinterest in being marked a previously landmark property, this is your chance. We're gonna set this right. You'll no longer be considered a landmark property, and those properties standing or have already opted in will continue to remain historic districts on a go-forward basis.
So for the city attorney, Mr. City Attorney, I'd like some clarification how you'd like us to proceed with this.
What Mr. Ray has indicated, the direction I would like is to direct me and administration to go through the current ordinance and strip away the uniquenesses of the Rochester ordinance to then mirror state law. So I still think it's a benefit to having an ordinance on your books. I think that's still a benefit for clarity for the world to see. But I think there's a handful of changes that would be required to bring that into strict compliance with the state statute. So that would be the direction, is to have me come back and present an ordinance amendment.
Madam Clerk, I should need a motion on that, correct? Would you like a motion? Or you just
No, that's okay. We could
Is
direct
council
no.
in?
So move for the purposes of preparation of the ordinance for consideration through our normal process. And I agree with Councilmember Ray's indication that, in the course of doing so, that we should strike the landmark property listing as a specific action in the course of whatever, if we were to adopt the ordinance, that part of that adoption process would be to strike those designations.
Thank you. So I have, just a second, I have a motion by Councilmember Cuthbertson. I have support by Councilmember Ray.
Yep, in
Yes.
discussion.
Yes, discussion is now,
Okay,
please.
thank you. In doing so,
If you could just wait a second, I will definitely call on you. If I would like him to finish his thought, please.
We can't speak on these items
I-
under public comment at the beginning, but you're skipping. And it's getting annoying.
Well, I would appreciate it if you could kindly raise your hand so I know to look out at you. I have no idea. I'm trying to go back and forth and make sure that everybody's called on appropriately. My intention is to never pass you by or never not call on you. I've never done that to you. So out of respect for myself, I would appreciate it if you would just kindly raise your hand once. Someone up on the dais can let me know that, and then I can call on you. but I'm trying to do my best up here, Ms. Douglas, and for some reason, I am constantly under scrutiny by you, and I don't appreciate it. All you have to do is kindly raise your hand, and I will kindly call on you. So if you would be so kind, I'm going to call on Councilmember Ray, and then you could proceed to come up to the podium, and I will call on you. Councilmember Ray.
Yes, in doing so, the difference, the uniqueness is of our ordinance against the state ordinance, one of which being a non-contiguous historic district. Now, will that still stand?
The contiguous, I'm sorry, the contiguous versus non-contiguous is not unique.
Oh, it's not?
No,
Okay.
no. The state statute allows for non-contiguous, just like this.
okay, right.
That is not a uniqueness.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Douglas, please come forward and make your comments.
The only point I wanted to make is that while you're going through all of this, is that no matter what you do, you can't really bind the next council. They could change it back or change it and do something else. So these things are never set in concrete, I guess is the best way to put it. But I really think having the opt-out is a good idea. Just one idea, and just one little thing about the opt-outs. State put an opt-out in transportation. I've discovered it in our county, and more communities opted out than are in public transportation and paying for SMART right now, ours being one of them, Rochester Hills being another one, and so on and so forth. So the opt-out is used even in state law in many cases, and community appreciates it in many cases. So I think you can't just look at a narrow group and say, well, maybe we need to hold these people to some higher standard than the rest of the property owners. You know, I think the opt-out is fair. I think it's honest. I think it's decent.
Thank you, Ms. Douglas. Anybody else this evening? Yes, Mr. Zimmerman, please come forward.
Can I make a request while we're so my only request is that we have a red letter, like, so we can clearly see what the difference when you're making the.
Just like any other ordinance amendment, it's exactly how you say it.
Okay. Because we can just do italics and black and white. Okay.
Hi, I'm John DeZerman. I'm a member of the Rochester Historic Commission and the chair of the Historic District Committee. So anyway, but one of the things I wanted to say, and I will make it shorter because of what you're talking about right now. You know, you can go online and you will find, and I'm not
You speak into the microphone, Mr. DeZerman.
Okay, I'm not exaggerating this. There's thousands of cities throughout the United States that have landmark properties. And most of those provide financial assistance for those designations. So it's interesting to me, but you should go and look at that. That's something, and they'll show you. Particularly, I zeroed in on Rochester, New York, which is sort of our twin in a roundabout way. And you should go in and look at that, and I think you'll see a lot of things about it. The opt-in and opt-out, the state of Michigan told me that they don't understand why all the cities in the southeast Michigan area has that. They're the only ones in the whole state. So we're just one of those people, and that's what they said. And what you're doing, the thing that I'm mostly concerned about is that if we do something different from what the state is doing, because that's going to come back to cause a problem for us. I saw this when I was with Rochester Hills, and I'd been with them on this kind of thing since 1987. It's a long time. But what I saw in that area is that as time went by, developers would come in and say, you did your things wrong, so you have to take off that from the list. And it's up to the city council to say yes or no. And as when I left them, Rochester Hills, they were now taking more of the historic districts they had and removing them to go ahead with the developers. So I'm concerned about what our ordinance is, and that we follow that, and that's what I preached the whole time that I've been working here, because I want to make sure that we do everything that's legal that we're supposed to follow. And if we don't do that, somebody's going to be 10, 15 years from now, and we're going to have a problem. They are going to have a problem. So I think that's one of the things you have to keep in mind. And the only other thing I wanted to say is that, you know, we want to help you. Our group wants to help you. And you have a lot of questions and things thrown at you along the way. And it happened most recently about one of the landmarks. What you don't know, because you're just not, you know, you don't know all this stuff, but there is a hardship designation. And you don't know that right now, but one of our historic districts are looking at that right now. We don't make a big deal about it because we don't think that's fair for the person who owns the property. So I'm not going to say who it is, but we can talk about it. The other thing that was brought up before was substitute materials, and that's okay to have. You can take your roof and put it back change it to the asphalt shingles, and that's okay. So be very careful what people tell you, because they're not telling you the truth, or they just don't understand it. And so what I want to do is make sure, if you have a question, call us, and we'd be happy to tell you what we know and what the state talks about. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. DeZerman. Thank you. I appreciate it. Any other comment on this item? Madam Clerk, I have a motion on the floor.
You do, Your Honor.
Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Just one, I'm sorry, just one, Madam Mayor. Wanted to know, so this here, the resident, taxpayer, whoever will still have their rights protected during
This
this.
motion is only to have him start to formulate the
Correct.
changes and bring it back. So
Just want to make
at
sure.
that time, we can go over,
Okay.
you know, what is protected and so on. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, we move on to reports and regular business. Consideration of boards and commission appointments. Do I have any public comment on this item this evening?
Nope.
I am going to have the mayoral appointments all in one motion. I'd like to move forward unless somebody doesn't like.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have support on the motion?
Support.
Support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, I will have to go with council appointments. I do have to do the Board of Ethics because I have two people. So the first one is Janice Galuli for a 3-year term regular seat, which will expire on May 31st, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Councilmember Peterson. Do I have support?
Support.
Support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, so there's actually two that have been nominated, so we're on the first person that's nominated.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, the roll on this one, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Whoever. I know. I've had this my entire life. It's
Joey.
not,
Joey.
It's a guy named Joe and a van and an alley. I get it. That would be yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
And Ray.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to then combine Community Media Network and the Zoning Board of Appeals in one motion. Do I have a motion to support?
So moved.
By Peterson, support by Councilmember Giovanelli. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, I have receive a report from the Planning Commission Liaison. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you. Planning is a popular subject and will be for several months to come. The Planning Commission met last Monday and heard a number of matters, one of which was reviewed this evening with Cedar Brook of Rochester. The other substantive development application that was presented was a public hearing for the consideration of a site plan and PICA request for 400 Water Street, a 4-story office building in between the Royal Park Hotel roughly and the Rochester Mills Brewery. That will be very likely, well, there were certain matters that were deferred to administration for whether it could be resolved administratively or not, or come back to the Planning Commission. I don't know if Mr. Banda has a better feel of whether it will be back to the Planning Commission before coming to City Council or not.
We were hoping to get to the 26th to council because they're minimal. The Planning Commission, the developer, I just talked to them today, and they don't mind pushing it off another month. We can wait till July, so I guess that's a bad answer. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, it's coming to council soon. Whether it has one more stop at the Planning Commission remains to be seen. There was a consideration of ordinance to amend Article 21 regarding medical marijuana uses to delete all provisions. The Medical Marijuana Licensing Facilities Act has changed the landscape of the regulation related to medical marijuana uses, and a community that, and this is there is an actual legislated, that is to say, it's in state statute that allows communities to opt out. And Rochester is availing itself in this proposed ordinance for consideration, as council has previously discussed, and beyond opting out through the deletion of the previous language, there will be an affirmative statement that says we really don't want this, and says where in the act we're referring to. So that should be coming to City Council after public hearing at the Planning Commission. And then we had 2 more zoning ordinance amendments regarding master plan implementation for the mixed-use district, as well as Downtown Edge 2 district. I believe when we finish those 2 that we can send at least one pair of districts to City Council for its next bite at the master plan implementation apple. And with that, concludes my report.
Thank you. All right. New business for referral.
Sorry, one more thing. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
We're adding a second meeting starting in July to the Planning Commission business to have one for developments and one for text amendments that relate to the master plan, so that we can accelerate the large press of business that relates to the implementation of the master plan and the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
And those, as soon as those are set, those will then be listed for the public.
July 17th is the first.
Thank you.
First one of those.
And we will have it on the calendar, Mr.
Being added to the city website calendar tomorrow.
Thank you. All right, Mr. City Manager.
Yep. First item for new business and referral is the check receipt register reports. What's included in your packet is May 11th, May 18th, May 25th, and June 1st. Next is the item is revolving several financial items. I'll ask Anthony to come up and I'll just explain what Anthony and administration, so the finance department and administration, is looking for through the upcoming budget that is going in place is basically guidance on several policies regarding our fund balance, our reserve, investment, revolving equipment, and several other ones. Anthony drafted a memo that's about a page and a half, but I'm sure seeing the hour that we're at, he'll make this brief.
Be happy to answer any questions you have with the policies. What I'm looking for tonight is just a nod to go ahead and grab best practices, benchmarks, communities, GFOA, governing bodies for each of these items. That would then be compiled, put into a draft policy format, then come back to council for discussion and direction and all of those items. A few of these do have some bearing on the development of our ERP software as they build the tables with procurement policy and budget amendments and that. So now is kind of a good time to say, hey, if we're good, just so you guys know, because it'll take quite some man hours to get all of that data and then buy back. So.
Council, do I see nods? I
Yes.
see nods.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Wait,
I have
Anthony just
Anthony,
Oh, yes,
okay,
absolutely.
there is so much information here, just so for everyone to understand. This is a lot. There's a lot of policy. There's the fund balance policy, investment policy, revolving equipment policy, budgeting and amendment policy, which I'm very interested in.
Oh, absolutely.
Are we going to see? Are you just going to give us a book of these policies, or I mean, this needs to be understood. It's not something we can just
Oh,
go
no,
ahead
you're
and.
not going to get. No, I will not flood you in one meeting at 9 o'clock.
This is very meaty
Approve all of
stuff.
them.
Okay, so can you tell me just the quick, like 2 seconds with the process? Because there's all this policy, are you giving it to us all at once, or?
So, no. What will happen is the ones that I need related to the timing, ones that I'm going to need for the ERP and that specifically the procurement ones, those you're going to see first.
Okay.
So those, I will not inundate you more than one policy a meeting.
Okay,
And you will get them as soon as the drafts are done, and then it will come as an agenda item on the next one.
okay. And then the other thing that I would love to see is what our practice is currently. So you're looking at a policy and what we currently are doing so that we have a marker of what kind of change we're going to be instituting.
Absolutely, you got it.
Okay, thank you.
We'll add it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Mr. City Manager?
Yep, if you're ready for the city manager updates under miscellaneous.
Yes, please.
Great. Christy did the update on the bicentennial bar dance. We'll be posting some information on the city's website. Nick laid out a more specific and detailed memorandum regarding the bicentennial monument project. I misspoke saying that there's approximately 35,000 in sponsorships have been made. Actually, as Nick memo outlined, there's been about 20,000 received. However, there's an additional about 25,000 that's been pledged. So there's almost 45,000 total if we're looking at that there. Again, I just highlight that we have the water and sewer open house meetings. The next one's at the OPC, the 15th at 7 p.m. And we also have our upcoming No-Haz date, which is on June 24th. And I'll make sure that that's highlighted on our city website.
Next, I will, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Next, I will go to miscellaneous public comment at the end of the meeting before I do the round table. Is there any other public comment, miscellaneous at the end of the meeting? Going once, please.
Kay Johnson, 137 North Alice. I just have 2 comments. I wish that the minutes would give more detail, the agenda, so when you're talking about a project, we know exactly where it's at. And if you have maps of things, why can't, we've got this beautiful screen.
It's a good
Why can't a
suggestion.
map be put up there
Good suggestion.
so that we can see what you're talking about?
Thank you.
And one other comment, I appreciate the tree trimming that you just did or are doing in the streets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Deputy City Manager, miscellaneous.
I'm sure I can speak for the whole family here that one of our honorees tonight, Bob Robinson's mom, passed this week. So our condolences to him and in this tough time. That's it. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Nothing this evening, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Bixon.
Yes. I was out and about some this weekend on the trail and also on the tennis courts, and I want to thank the police chief for our usual summer bike patrol. He's downtown, he's in the park, he's actually on the trail a little bit, so I think that's been a long time, nice service of our police department, so I want to thank the chief for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ray.
can I request excused absences for my 2 past meetings?
So moved.
Support.
I just want to vote no on
2.
You can vote no.
Councilmember Giovanelli, support by Councilmember Peterson. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
I don't know. Yes.
Peterson.
Yeah.
Ray.
Yes. And then to compliment our parks crew on the parks. Last weekend, I was in the park and unsolicited, just through random conversation with people visiting the park, especially down by the Pine Creek. I had people commenting on just how absolutely fabulous it was, just in parental talk, especially while the kids are playing on the shore, just how absolutely wonderful it was. And to congratulate the Oakland University Alumni Association on their golf outing today. It was fantastic, and yours truly took closest to the pin.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Did you use a foot wedge?
Solid 6 into the wind.
Councilmember Giovanelli.
Yeah, just kind of tagging on the public works. So I just wanted to thank Shannon and the administration for our little tour that we had, the Magical Mystery Tour. It's both exciting and disappointing at the same time to know how much work we have to do, but I just wanted to thank you for your efforts in that regard and educating us and letting you know that you do not suffer alone. You have friends up here, so we're here to help. Thank you.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Only to say that Mr. Banda can take my pledge and convert it into a donation tonight for the bicentennial monument. Our family has made a commitment and is happy to honor it this evening.
Tax deductible.
You did it. I think you were one of the first people that actually.
Well, I don't know. I kind of feel like I had to put my money where my mouth is on this one.
Councilmember Peterson.
A couple things. I wanted to know, a resident had asked whether or not they noticed that with the sidewalk, the newer sidewalks that, they start the way they're laid out. Besides, they get slipperier. The water's pooling there. Do they have to pay additional to have that come out and have it straightened or lifted or anything like that? Or would it be something that the city would take care of?
I'll tell you, if they would just give us an address, absolutely not. We will take care of that.
Okay.
So we have a guarantee on those for a whole season. After the winter, some things settle, and then you get the water ponding, so absolutely no cost to them.
Okay, all right, I'll let them know. And then one other thing, I just noticed and I've been noticing it, but when we have our event applications come in and we have just an amount just listed here, is there a way that that amount can be kind of a little more broken down, because like 5 things are compiled of that, so you kind of know a little more detail?
I can work with the chief, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Mayor Pro Tem.
I would like excused absence. I was in Portugal celebrating my mother's 80th birthday. It was awesome.
So moved.
Councilmember Peterson, support by Councilmember Giovanelli. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
And then the other things is the Rochester Fire Department had a great open house. Police department, thank you. So, and I heard there was
It's going to be great.
I'm gonna give away helmets.
So, but the helmets they gave away and the kids, I have to do kudos to the mayor and all the people that put their time to help all the little kids and make balloons and just be out there, and the officers, they really made it fun for the kids. Even smiling, like when this little boy got on the motorcycle, he was just so excited, and the chief was there, so thank you for that. Also, the leadership, I wasn't here last time, but did anybody mention the leadership graduation?
Yes.
They did, okay, awesome. The Suave land, it looks like a wasteland. We were going to talk about the trees. The grass is not cut. It looks terrible down there. What's going on?
Right, so
It's a field.
I'll do a quick update. So we're getting a bond for $187,000 for the trees because they're working with architects. They're going to come back to the planning commission with another plan. They had to balance the rest of the land to get the low spots out. Our intention is to let it grow. We want it established and let it be a field of wildflowers for now. Keep the edges to the trail 20 feet in, they'll manicure so people know we didn't forget about it. So the edges of the trail will be that. We want the old trail to fill in so people stop going on there because it's dangerous. But we will have a cash money bond so that if they don't build by next summer, then we're going to plant trees and they're going to have a forest there. It's 1,067 trees, something like that. So they've cooperated with us. We're getting the final sections of the path stabilized. Once they're done, then we can sign off. The river's done. We signed off on that. But we expect to see them back here within 2 months at the Planning Commission. And if they don't proceed, we will proceed with cashing in that bond.
Okay, and then will those barricades be removed?
Absolutely. So the site
Okay, because that's really what makes it look...
looks junky, absolutely. Everything in that site will be cleaned down to boulders.
Okay. And then the other question I have is, last year, we were going to put trees in the cemetery because we lost a lot of trees, and then the trees stock didn't look that great, but we haven't heard any reports. We're supposed to...
Yep, so we just finished our tree planting for the spring. We used all our money, but when the next budget kicks in the fall, we will plant, I think Johnny and I met out there, I think there's 17 trees, evergreens that we're gonna plant where we lost the ones on First Street. So we have a plan. The trees are ordered, they'll be planted in the fall. With this weather right now, I don't wanna plant them.
Okay.
But absolutely didn't forget about them. We have them picked, species and everything picked
Okay,
up and held at
fabulous.
the nursery.
Okay, great, thank you. That's it.
I just have 2 items. First is the police open house. As everyone knows, I've been doing this for 9 years, so well before I was on council. So thank all the volunteers. I want to thank the organization Rocket that donated some money to buy helmets this year, and they helped. So I could actually sit there. I didn't have to keep going back and forth to fit all those runny-nosed kids that were so awesome. Next, I want to thank the police department because I went to the graduation for the Citizens Academy. And I want to especially thank Chief Schettenhaupt, Sergeant Mark Lyon, and Officer Tyler Raines, and all the citizens. I have to tell you, that was one fun evening. And the stories, well, we can't tell the stories, but the stories were pretty funny about all the little drills that they did, and the residents that were there, and the citizens. We had a lot of citizens from Rochester Hills, which was great. So I want to encourage the residents when we do this program again to get involved because it was really, really cool. So, and that's it. Meeting adjourned.